What's up, idols? It's Cece Listen Through. Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Now this one is going to be kind of nuts. For this story is a bit of a 2-for-1 special combo. Most of the story is going to be here on YouTube, but there's also a detailed part that's a bit too steamy for YouTube about a sexual encounter she had with the guy who's the subject of this story, and that is going to be on my Patreon. It's kind of like the one I did last week where it was like 50 Shades of Grey, but in Korea. The choking, the dominance, so much foreplay. So yeah, the Patreon link is down below in the description, but most of the story will still be here. Part of this email, she got really detailed about what her and this boy did that night and how it changed how she felt about the whole situation. So yeah, that's going to be on Patreon. For this story time, she basically begged me not to mention her name, not that we ever really do anyway. I think so far only like 1 or 2 girls said, oh, here's my name, you can call me my name. But most of the time they don't want to be known because she knows that she's not the victim of the story. She knows she's in the wrong. She just had to follow what felt right to her. And she already said she's not even going to read the comments because she knows a lot of y'all are going to be upset.
She knows, and I know she knows, and I know
But she wanted to share this because she can't believe what she did and she can't believe what happened to her in Korea. So let's go. For this story, we'll call her Jane. You can take that like Jane from Tarzan or maybe a Jane Doe due to her anonymity.
What?
Anonymity? Anonymity. Also, this story kind of reminds me of something similar that happened to me a few years ago. I don't think I've ever told anyone this on YouTube, like ever. Only like my friends know about this because I didn't want to get in the way of 2 friends. But you know what? It's similar to this story, so I feel like I might as well share it. It's been years. Relationships have ended. It's all good now. So if y'all want to hear my tea, then stick around to the end because I'll share my story after this story. So Jane was seeing this guy in Korea for a few weeks. We'll call him Moon for the sake of the story. And in the beginning, like it often is, everything was great. Everything was perfect. Even though, you know, a few weeks in, it's already still early days. So if there's already things not going well, that's kind of a warning sign. She said they spent a lot of time together early on, like in the first few days, the first week or so, but then things kind of started to fizzle out where he didn't want to go out of the house. He didn't want to really do anything or make plans, and every time he did want to hang out, he just wanted to go to her place because she lives alone and he does not. She said it also didn't take long before he was like too tired to do the naughty. So on one fateful weekend, Jane finally got Moon to agree to hang out with her outside of her apartment, and they made plans. She somehow was able to get him to agree to go to the firework festival. That's right, guys, this story just happened last week. They were going to do firework festival, dinner combo, perfect date night. I think Seoul has their festival like every October, like early October. I remember I went in 2019 and y'all, it is way too crowded. It's not even that fun. I remember we were going through the trenches to try to get a spot. Like it was couples everywhere, people everywhere. It was not that fun. But I do remember I felt a little like special because JB of Got7 had posted on his story that he was watching. And I was like, oh my God, he's like right there. Like he was so close to us. And I'm sad, but I'm glad because we probably breathe the same air. Anyway, there was a problem with Jane and Moon's plans because Moon double booked himself. He told Jane he was free to have dinner with her and go to this firework festival, but he also promised his homies that they would meet up and hang out. So instead of canceling on the boys and instead of canceling on Jane, he said, let's just merge the events. I'm sure everybody will get along just fine. And then some. So I think it's pretty understandable that Jane was quite pissed. She was looking forward to having some one-on-one time with her mans. He's like, oh, come on, don't be that way. Look at it like this. You get to meet my friends. And that's like the first step in a real relationship, right? The friends gotta you gotta get along with the friends. He was just gonna go for drinks with his friends and he was gonna do dinner and fireworks with her. So they're like, let's just do it all. Let's go to dinner. Let's go to the fireworks and then we can get drinks. 완벽한 밤. So Moon meets Jane at her apartment and then we're gonna head over to the restaurant together because his friends were already there. So when she gets there, there are 3 guy friends. 2 of the friends are miscellaneous. We don't really gotta worry about who they are, what their names are or anything, but one of the friends is essential to the plot of this story. We'll call him Taye. And unfortunately, it didn't take long before Jane just started to feel completely invisible because like the boys got together, homies be homieing, and she has no idea why she's even there at this point. Oh, and get this, when they all got together, he introduced her as Jane, his friend. The nerve. So she's sitting there by herself and they're all speaking in Korean, catching up with each other, and she's just like, wow, my purpose here is non-existent. I do not need to be here. So she did probably what any of us would do at that point. She pulled out her phone and just started scrolling social media, find somebody to talk to. She wasn't scrolling for long before Taye the essential friend, asked her, hey, are you okay? And she didn't even know he could speak English. She said she was fine, just chatting with a friend online. So as they're eating dinner, the first bottle of soju comes out and she's confused because she's like, oh, I thought we were going to do dinner, then the fireworks, then drinking. And she kind of saw where this was going. She was like, if they drink too much, they're not going to give a fuck about these fireworks. And the thing is with the firework festival, like you need to get there early to secure a good spot because it is packed. Like she was well aware that there were people already in their spots and they're still here at the restaurant and now they're starting to drink soju. So the drinks are flowing and her fear becomes reality. It was just one bottle of soju, then it became 2 bottles of soju, and now they're onto somek, beer and soju mixed together. Moon is not paying her any attention and she just feels so useless. She's like, why am I here? Like I should just go watch the fireworks by myself at this point. So she asks him, hey guys, when do we plan to head out? Because like it's gonna be crap. We're not gonna see anything but the back of people's heads and trees. And Moon just kept saying, soon, we'll go soon. But soon just never came. So eventually she told him to just have fun with his boys and she's gonna go because she really wants to see these fireworks. She said they can join her later if they want, and Moon just said, okay.
Boy, if you don't get...
But then Taye of all people said, oh, she shouldn't go alone, it's not safe. So then Moon said, okay, we'll all go, just give me a minute. 1 minute goes by, 2 minutes go by, another 10 minutes or so goes by, and they're still here and they're drinking somek. So Jane said, you know what, F this, and she got her stuff up and she was about to just go. Like she already told them she was ready to go. They didn't do anything or say anything. She was ready to leave 10 minutes earlier, so she's like, I'll just go now. But as soon as she got up to head for the door, Taye also joined her. He got up and started to head out of the restaurant as well. And what's sad is Jane said when she got up and left, she doesn't even know if Moon noticed. Like he was drunk. So Taye asked her once again, are you okay? Is everything okay? And this is when she just let it all out. She says she doesn't know how things are going anymore. She feels like everything's fizzling out. And after all this, you know, he introduced her as his friend Jane. So she's like, what is this then? So then Taye said he'll go with her to the fireworks because he wants to see it too and it's not safe for her to go alone. Because at first she's like, you don't have to come with me, dude. Like, it's totally fine. Stay, spend time with your friends. But because he did say that he wanted to go too, off they went, just the two of them.
And I want to spend some time with you. Just the two of us.
But you can imagine this was pretty awkward, you know, forced small talk. They literally just met like an hour ago over dinner. But this is where our girl Jane had to let us know that Taye is sexy. She said honestly all of his friends were really cute, but Taye checking up on her, going with her to the fireworks, speaking up for her, trying to make conversation with her made him sexy. He went from cute to sexy. Just effort. Effort goes a long way, gentlemen. So she texted Moon to let her know because again, she's like, I don't even think he noticed. She said, hey, I'm going to see the fireworks. You can join me later if you're done. And he just said, okay. Bruh, she said she would rather him to have not responded or to have said nothing rather than just say, okay. So as Jane and Taye are navigating through this crowded place, crowded people, everybody's trying to get a good spot to look up and see the fireworks without trees and buildings in the way and stuff. And she said like he was protecting her. He was trying to help clear the space. And you know, the Itaewon crowd crush incident was really bad. So it's dangerous if you're not careful. He's watching to make sure they can cross the street safely. He's making sure people aren't too close to her. It's perfect. And he was also really careful to make sure they didn't get separated. And one super sweet thing that he did was he took off his jacket so she could sit on it so she didn't have to sit on the bare floor. So they found a spot, and while they waited for the show to start, the conversation wasn't awkward anymore. Like they actually hit it off and had a lot to talk about. The conversation was conversating. She laughed. He asked her about herself, asked her like, how's Korea so far? What do you like to do for fun? And they had a lot in common. And she said this is the most attention she's felt in a while. Like she has not been getting any attention from Moon for a while now. One funny thing though, Taye asked her if she had a boyfriend and she was just like, well, I was like here as Moon's date, sort of. And he's like, wait, really? Oh, when he said you were his friend, I thought he actually meant you guys were just friends. And he said even given everything he saw with them at dinner where he wasn't really talking to her or attentive or helping her with anything, he really thought they were actually he really thought they were actually literally just friends. What the hell? I can't speak. And you know, she's like, clearly he doesn't like me like that, and I don't know where this is going because even you saw it for yourself how he treated me, and I'm just his friend. So She told him how he doesn't like doing stuff with her anymore and it just feels like it's on its way out. So Taye awkwardly apologized for being so sweet and romantic because he did not know that she was even remotely a thing with Moon. She's like, nothing to be sorry about. I'm single. I am a single woman. 혼자 여자 사람이다. So this is when Moon called Taye to ask where they were because they were done at the restaurant and they wanted to meet up again. And because the fireworks were going off, Taye could not hear him. So then he just hung up and said, text me. But instead he texted Jane and Jane just sent her location. So they made their way to them and they're like, oh guys, you got us a good spot, thanks. And when they get there, yeah, they're hammered. What was awkward is suddenly, you know, when people get drunk or start drinking, they get a little more cuddly and affectionate. Suddenly he has his hands around Jane and he's all like, oh, this is so romantic, isn't it? And she's just like, cause she's so repulsed by him at this point. So now Jane is conflicted and annoyed. Like she was really starting to feel Taye. Like this was a nice little talk that she had with him. But she didn't know if it was because she felt neglected by Moon or if there was something actually more real there with Taye. But either way, because Moon and Taye are friends, this is messy. So now that the fireworks are over, the boys, Moon, they're like, hey, let's go get drinks now. And she's like, didn't y'all just drink? What do you mean? Y'all want more? And Moon is drunk, but the two miscellaneous friends are smashed. Like they are incoherent at this point. So she's like, y'all need to go home, go to bed. Jane, she doesn't really want to be a part of this next adventure in the bro night because it's not going to be fun babysitting these grown-ass men. But then Taye says that he'll go if Jane goes. And Moon asks why. Like, why does Jane have to be there for you to want to spend time with us? And Taye's like, look, I can't be the only sober one here. Like, that's not fun for me. Over dinner, he only had like a shot or two. He really didn't drink that much. So Jane said yes because she wants to spend more time with Taye. Let's do this.
Do it!
It is interesting, though, that even though Jane explained to Taye the situation, like, I was kind of dating Moon, he still was like, well, I'll go if you go. Like, he's like, I don't care. I like you. So off they go to the first bar, literally the very first bar that they see where there's room available. And as soon as they get there, the boys order a round.
Baby, come through. You deserve a round. You deserve a round.
Everybody takes a shot. It's fun, starting off baby steps, good steps. But she said they did like 3 rounds of shots in the first 5 minutes they were there. She was like, this ain't it. I'm leaving. Taye is trying to tell them to like slow down, eat something, drink some water. Like it's too early to be this drunk. But they do it anyway. Can't tell me nothing.
Excuse me, was you saying something? You can't tell me nothing.
Jane is buzzed, so she's good. She doesn't want to drink anything else. They were trying to do their best to sober up the boys, but it was a losing battle. So yeah, Jane decided to leave because after this first bar, they end up going to like 2 more. And many rounds of alcohol later, she said,
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Taye could see how upset Jane looked and he apologized for the homies, but not only that, he's kind of the reason she decided to come because she only wanted to go because Taye was there. And the fact that Moon was back to ignoring Jane, she just is deaded. Taye said that him and Jane should leave because you can't reason with drunk people. He said you should get out of here. And he offered to walk her to the nearest train station. She accepted the offer. He did this little smooth thing where he was like, yeah, you know, here we are at the train station. You should give me your number so you can text me when you make it back home safe so I know you're okay. So once they confirmed, call me, got your number, cool. That's when Moon texted Taye and said he needed his help. And he realized he wasn't gonna be able to just go home after this. He had to go back to the bar and watch the boys. He said he was gonna try to get them all in a taxi, wish him luck, all that stuff. So Jane made it home safely and she texted Taye to say as much. She asked him if he had any luck with getting the boys home yet. And he said they were actually in a taxi right now. They dropped off 1, 3 more. 2 more to go. So she wished him luck and thanked him for being so sweet to her all night. But at this point, she knew she liked Taye a lot more than Moon. Overall, it was a net win. The neglect from Moon, she said, helped clear her conscience for future decisions she's gonna make that we're about to get to. So the next day, Moon texted her. He said that he wanted to come over to her place to see her, but he wasn't feeling well. Hungover, duh, as expected. And he said he was just gonna sleep it off. She's like, yeah, not at all surprised. You were throwing him back last night like a child. But then Taye messaged her as well. He asked if this day was going better than yesterday. And he said he hopes that she's not upset anymore. He hopes she's feeling better. And then they both like, oh yeah, Moon just texted me saying how he's hungover and he's gonna sleep it off. And I was like, oh yeah, like he's communicating with everyone effectively. So then Taye asks her what she's doing for the day. She says she's doing nothing. Taye's like, I'm also doing nothing. let's do nothing together.
You want my destiny.
They were just gonna get a coffee, you know, that's innocent enough. But because they hit it off, they also decided to go to the aquarium because Jane had always wanted to go. She had not been able to go yet. He says, oh, let's go now. They hit it off some more. Everything is going great. Is this a date? Are you allowed to call it that? Are they just hanging out? No sé. Pero el próximo día, Moon messaged her and was like, hey, so how was your day yesterday? Sorry, I was too sick to come and see you. She said, oh, it was cool, you know, just had a chill day. And Moon asked her what she did, like, specifically. And she said, oh, I met up with Taye and we got coffee and we went to the aquarium. He said, oh, yeah, cool. I just talked to Taye and he told me the same thing. I just wanted to make sure you were going to be honest with me.
He needs some
It was
milk.
a pop quiz. The fuck? She was like, why would I lie about that? It was just coffee in the aquarium. We didn't do anything yet. Sorry about that, guys. My camera battery just died and I was just about to get to the juicy bits. And she was like, after all, we're just friends. You introduced me as just your friend. I'm just your friend, so it doesn't matter, right? Friends can do whatever the fuck they want to do. So he could tell she was upset. He said he honestly didn't remember why, because he was drunk, but he apologizes for whatever he did. And he said he'll do better. And she figures it's like that classic jealousy thing, right? Like if you feel like you're losing someone to another person, suddenly you start to care more and want to put in more effort. You can't let them go, not without a fight. After this, Taye and Jane were talking about how Moon seems upset and how they do feel bad, but they also don't care that much. Why are my arms behind my back? He asked her how she felt about it, and she says she honestly feels like it's a little too late and she's kind of like over it with him. You know how it's that thing of like, you take things for granted until somebody else wants what you have, you know, then you're like, wait, she's mine. Suddenly you start to care more. It's already very complicated, right? But then Jane asks Taye if he would like to come to her place. Please come over to my apartment. Naturally, he's like, huh? 왜? And she says she thinks if she sees him tonight, it can help give her some clarity on the situation. And Taye's hesitant. He's like, shouldn't we talk first? Bless him. He knows what's happening if he comes over. They're clapping some things, and I don't mean hands.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
And Jane said this is the part of the story where she has to own up to how thirsty she was for this man. Anyway, Taye did obviously agree to come over to her place because he knew what was about to happen. So this is the YouTube version of what happened. The more detailed bit will be on Patreon. Link in description. Check it out for further details. So yeah, he did go over to her place and they did do the naughty. She said basically, like the gist of things is that he was a lot more dominating than she expected, and she really liked seeing that side of him because outside he's all sweet and handsome and gentlemanly. Like he was like protecting her in the crowd and making sure she was okay. He sat his jacket down so she could sit on it and not get grass butt wet and stuff. In the privacy of her bedroom, her chambers, suddenly he's pinning her and on top of her and making demands like, call me daddy. Like, yeah. And she said it felt like he was also holding back a lot of those urges. So it was like this mutual clash of desire. So anyway, she says she loved the night they spent together, loved every second of it, and it definitely cleared up her mind, and she knew she wanted Taye, not Moon. So after the steamy encounter the next day, Moon texted her. And she says she knew she was over it when she did not feel bad at all. And this is the part where she's like, look, I know some people gonna judge me and call me like a villain because I should have ended things fully with Moon before pursuing anything with Taye. But she said something like never close the door until another one opens. Yeah, you know, one of those things. Don't hate her too much. It's just, we're all human in it. As of now, because like I said, this just happened last week. Like, this is fresh tea. Taye and Jane are taking things slowly, but they're cautious because they're like, we don't really want to tell Moon anything until there's something to actually tell him. But she did tell Moon already that she doesn't see this going anywhere with him, but he's not really accepting that. He thinks that, oh, you're just having a bad day. Like, we'll be cool again. I'll come to your place soon. She doesn't like Moon, and Moon's not understanding that anymore. But it is hard when your homie is Mr. Still Your Girl, so that's gotta be awkward. She keeps communication with Moon to an absolute minimum. She tries to not talk to him, but she also feels mean just not talking to him, so she does respond occasionally, but nothing to give him hope. But he still has hope, which I think she should just ghost him at this point. So that is the tea for now. Girl meets guy, things fizzle out. Girl meets guy's friends, girl hits it off with guy's friend. They like each other, and that's where things are for now. I am sure we'll have updates in the future because, like I said, this just happened last week. Either things with her and Taye get better, or maybe she goes back to moon, or maybe everything dies out and everybody goes to each other. Who knows? No sé, but she'll keep us in the loop. So thank you guys so much for watching. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm supposed to tell you my personal tea. That's what happens when you're on autopilot. So yeah, I was in a situation that was kind of similar to this back in 2016. I was on spring break with my boyfriend and 4 of his friends. Yeah, that was a lot. No, 3 of his friends. One of his friends had a girlfriend who was supposed to come, but she went to a different uni, so her spring break was a different time and it just didn't work out. And I was like, I'm supposed to be alone with my boyfriend and 3 of his friends? Like, that sounds awful. I'm not gonna use their names or anything, but yeah, one of my boyfriends, it's a lot of guys to keep track of. One of my boyfriend's friends had a parent who had like a lot of frequent flyer miles and all these perks and stuff. So we had a really nice hotel like right on Miami Beach, and it had a rooftop pool and everything. It was great. I was on my period that week, so that was no fun. So I wasn't really swimming. I wasn't having as much fun. I wasn't drinking as much and all that stuff. And my boyfriend was going ham. He was drinking a lot. So my boyfriend he was chill. This years ago, by the way, 2016. Like, this was a long time ago. He was chill. He was a very chill, laid back dude, but when he drinks, he is very obnoxious. He had one friend that was really introverted, and that friend got me through this trip, because if it wasn't for him witnessing what I was also witnessing and experiencing, then I would have felt like I was going crazy and that had never actually happened, because I was like, how is my boyfriend not seeing this, but you're noticing this? Like, okay, so it's not just me, sort of thing. And then one friend is like, also, he matches his crazy. He's very obnoxious like that. So those two were they were just homies. The introverted friend was kind of just the observer. And then there was the friend who was flirting with me. Yeah, I never told this to anybody, because I was like, oh, I don't want to get in between friends. That's awkward. Then it becomes he said, she said, and I don't want, she's lying. Like, who's going to confess that, yeah, I was flirting with your girlfriend? Like, nobody's going to do that. But it's been years. So anyway, okay. The first time that he started to flirt with me, we were on the roof of the hotel, and it was like a nice pool and stuff. And my ex and his friend ran across the street, because like we were people watching from the top, and people had these giant coconuts full of alcohol, and he's like, yo, where'd you get that from? And they pointed them to where the shop was. So they ran across the street. They were so excited. And this was on top of drinking they were already doing like in the hotel room and stuff. So they were pretty drunk at this point. And I'm just on my period cramping up like, oh, spring break on my period, this sucks. And the observer is also kind of like, wow, because he doesn't drink a lot. I think I was the most like him. He was also really cute, but I was with that's nothing. Anyway, so we're up on the roof, and we can literally hear my ex and his friend like screaming like, yeah, like getting so excited about getting these coconut drinks or whatever. And this is when the flirter, the flirty friend, was all like, I can't believe he acts like that. You deserve someone better. You can do better than that. And then I was just kind of like, because this came out of nowhere. Like, he was my ex's roommate, so I seen him a lot. We had the same major. We both liked the same football team, Baltimore Ravens, hometown. We had a lot in common, but we never really talked ever. So it was weird. And then when he said that, I was just kind of like, and I looked at, can't say names. And I looked at the observer, and I was like, you saw what? And he was just kind of like, oh, what the hell? And just kind of went back to drinking his water. And then when they all came back over, he goes back to normal, and he's like, oh, what do you guys got to drink there? And we're just like, you really just told me I can do better than my boyfriend? What? So that was the first instance that he flirted with me. Then we were walking on Ocean Drive, and there's a ton of bars and stuff along the street. And this lady was out there trying to like, oh, it's 2 for 1. If you can finish these, you get them for free or whatever. It was these giant giant martini, I don't know the names of glasses, but it was giant. It was like a bowl of alcohol. It was huge. I thought it would be like me and my ex on one, and then the other friends on the other. But then because me and the flirty friend had the same major, he's like, how about team on this one, team geology on this one, and they can do that. And I was just like, huh? And then not my boyfriend, but the observer, he was like, yeah, I think they should drink that together. So he was there with me, like he was dialed in. Like I said, if it wasn't for him, I would have been completely sure I was losing my mind. I was like, surely this is not happening right in front of my boyfriend, and he is not picking this up at all. We finished it, and I started to feel nauseous. Like I can't drink that much. I'm pretty sure I have some sort of alcohol intolerance, because it doesn't take a lot of alcohol before I start to get nauseous. And I don't mean drunk like I'm dizzy and no, I'm sober. I just feel sick. So I don't drink a lot. And when I get to that point, I know I need to chug water. So that's what I started to do. After that, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of tired. I think I want to head back to the hotel. Now, my ex and his friends still wanted to stay out, and I was like, guys, like, don't worry about me. I'll call an Uber. You can track it. It'll be fine. I just want to go home, lay down. And then the flirt was like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of tired. I want to go back too. And I'm like, excuse me, sir? No, I'm not going to be in a hotel room with you after what you've been doing since we got to Miami. After that, I was like, yeah, you know what, JK, I feel fine. I'm going to stay out. We're good. So like I said, this is happening in front of my ex.
How did he not see me?
I was like, how are you not objecting to any of this? Literally, the observer was the only one looking at me like. The next time he said something suggestive or kind of flirty, my ex was considering getting a tattoo in Miami. We were looking at a bunch of shops and stuff, and there was like a dress in the window, and the flirt was like, oh, that would look great on you. And I was like, oh yeah, thanks. And he was in the military or used to be. I don't know what the deal was, but he got a military discount. He's like, yeah, I can get a discount on that for you too. And I was like, looking at my ex like, please save me, say something, notice something. So I was like, no, you know what, I'm good. Yellow's not my color, it's fine. So it was little things like that where we're all on vacation together, and my ex-boyfriend's friend was flirting with me the whole time, and my ex was none the wiser. He was just having fun with his homies, drinking. I get it, we're on spring break, I totally get it. Like I said, if it wasn't for the observer, I would have lost my mind, because I was like, how is no one else noticing this? But I don't know, in this story, it kind of reminded me of that, like, girl hangs out with the boyfriend's friends or whatever, and then one of the friends starts to flirt back and kind of hits it, except I didn't do anything. Like, there was nothing to talk about. Like, that's a part of the reason I never talked about this, but nothing happened. Like, we went back to campus and everything was back to normal again, except I made every attempt to not talk to him, not look him in the eye, nothing. Like, we had some geo classes together and I never talked to him like that. From that point on, I was like, we can't be on a project together. Nope, that's weird. It's awkward when you're hanging out with your boyfriend's friends and then one of them tries to like get with you. But like I said, he was just right in front of his face, and my ex was so focused on having fun and drinking, he really was not paying no attention to me. So I get it, but don't do that. That's wrong. Don't cross that line. Now we can close out this video. What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today's story time is about a very complicated hookup in Seoul. We're back on Disney Princesses, and as requested, she's gonna go by Bo in this story. Little Bo Peep from Toy Story. She doesn't want people to know who she is if like her family or her friends are watching, and you guys are gonna see why soon. So Bo is in her 30s, and she feels like she's too old for the club scene, all the games that younger people like to play. She's also not a fan of dating apps. She's not a fan of just how people overcomplicate dating these days, where they say one thing but mean a totally different thing. So Bo was actually engaged for 5 years to her partner before the events of this story unfolds. They were together for over 5, but engaged for 5. And one thing she wanted me to tell you guys, if you feel like your partner is hesitating, wasting your time, trying to rewind the clock and slow things down, it's not always worth it to stay, because they could be unsure about you and they're hesitating probably for a reason. So yeah, she says she feels like she wasted too much of her precious time dealing with this guy who was her fiance. So with that relationship over with and done, she does admit that, you know, she's not eager to rush into a new relationship, but she does miss affection and intimacy. I mean, she hasn't been with anybody else in over 5 years, like that makes sense. Now, because she's in Korea and she's a foreigner, she knows what's coming. She's heard the stories from her friends, she's seen the videos online, the TikToks, the reels, the vlogs on YouTube, but she figured, I'm only looking for peen, so like how difficult could this be? I mean, she's a foreigner in Korea looking for someone to sleep with. That should be easy enough. So she makes her Tinder profile and posts exactly what she's looking for, and she even posts some suggestive, sexy pictures to like get the ball rolling. Get it? Like the balls rolling. Like when they see her sexy pictures, they're gonna come running like, all the matches came flooding in. And what's funny is when the matches came, the first messages went like this: FWB, when can we meet? ONS, you want? Really? Can I come over tonight? Do you live alone? I want to see you now. I please you tonight, baby. Hook up with open mind? So yeah, you get the idea. So much peen, how do you choose? One of the main issues she had was that a lot of the profiles were either not her type or her style, she wasn't attracted to them, or they didn't have any pictures. There were profiles where the only picture was a cat, a dude's feet.
That's nasty.
The park, or zoomed in and cropped on somebody's face just wearing a mask and a hat. Sketchy, right? Like, who's gonna invite a man to their house and they don't even at least know what they look like? So it wasn't pretty pretty hard to narrow it down because she did come across one profile that she was interested in where she could tell it was him. He was verified. He had a lot of pictures. He looked really good. He was fine. He left a message and said, "Hey cutie, you looking for FWB?" Now one thing she said is based on his profile, she could tell he was a fuckboy. This didn't bother her because she was only looking for dick anyway.
No more dick! Keep no more dick!
She said what made it obvious that he was a fuckboy was like a lot of club pics, the way he was posed, his haircut, his style. He was young and attractive. So when he asked, "Are you looking for FWB?" she said, "That depends on you." She replied to him. So when he asked what she meant by that, she said, "As long as you're not some psycho or a catfish and it's just a hookup, then yes, you can fill the position." Anyway, so he gave her his IG so she knew that it was actually him. He wasn't like a catfish, and he messaged her from his Instagram account. He DM'd her and said, "Is this good enough for you, sexy? I'm trying to come over ASAP." So she went on ahead and invited him over. But like, Bo's about to be intimate with a guy for the first time in over 5 years, so she's nervous, as you can understand. She wanted to make sure she cleaned up her place a little bit, took a shower, smelled good, dressed sexy, but not like too sexy like she was trying to be sexy. He also said he lived about 15 minutes away, which she felt great about because she wouldn't feel as bad about kicking him out when they were done. Like, he doesn't have a far journey home. So he said he has some things to do first, but then he'll be over. And she said, "Great, I've got some things I gotta get done first too." Fast forward about 2 hours, and he arrives to her apartment looking fuego. By the way, we'll call this guy Jun. So not only does Jun show up to her apartment looking really good, he also brings wine and pizza.
Rusty Cray, pizza.
Like, she feels like this is like a girls' night now, or it became a sleepover or something. She's like, wait, is it normal for people to bring things
when it's just a hookup?
He didn't mention he was bringing anything. She's like, wait, is this Korean culture? Is this hookup culture? So yeah, he brought wine, but unfortunately she only had one wine glass. So that's awkward. And he said before they get started, he needs to refuel and he wanted to drink a bit with her. But yeah, homie made himself right at home. He came over with his charger, his phone charger. He came over with like a sweater, like a hoodie, and some sweatpants to change into later maybe. Now that detail is very important to remember for the fucked up thing he does to her later in the story time. So yeah, not only is he looking good and bringing stuff, but he's also risen her up too. He keeps telling her how nice her apartment is, how beautiful she is, how great the place smells. He says she looks younger than she is. He's surprised that she matched with him. He's surprised that she was real. So yeah, they're talking and drinking and everything. And she was kind of getting worried that he was drinking too much and he might end up with whiskey dick.
What the hell is even that?
You know, when a guy gets too drunk to perform properly, perform without a soldier that stands at attention. So he's being really funny and she'd enjoyed his company, but she's like, wait, I can't let this happen. She's like, I can't afford another heartache, not so soon. I know what they do, like they're gonna smash and they're gonna ghost. Let me not get invested in this. That was her mantra. So Bo was trying to make sure this was a hookup and nothing else. She just got out of a long-term relationship with a called off engagement. Last thing she needs to do is smash a fine man and have him ghost her too.
He's a phantom.
So they eat and drink and get busy. Well, they're about to get busy. As they're, you know, touching each other and stuff, she asks, hey, did you bring any condoms? Of course, homie ain't bring none. But he said, don't worry, I'm not planning to get you pregnant yet.
What do you mean by that?
What the fuck does that even mean? So she said, bro, nothing's happening without a raincoat. So he popped out to the store and he decided to go get some finally. So they finally do boom boom. And she said at first she wasn't like that into it, but they did go a few rounds and he started to last longer. He got better.
Hopefully, you can last all night, don't get too excited.
So yeah, the first round was a warm up.
Yesterday was kind of a warm up. I feel like round two, I feel like we can go a bit harder.
Go harder for round two?
So now that they've done the deed, it is time for him to go. They both fulfill their contractual obligations. So they're laying in Bo's bed, and this is when he decides to start asking her more personal questions like, so what's your type? When was your last relationship? Could you see yourself with me? Immediately, she did not like where this was going.
Oh, I made a mistake.
So she's like, oh, woo, that was fun, John, but you should get going, right? Like, it's late, the rain stopped, you good to go now, right? You 15 minutes away. He said he thought he was staying over for the night, hence the change of clothes, I guess. Like, he said he was hoping they would do it a few more times throughout the night. She said, you know, nah, I'm good. This was fun and all. It was nice to meet you. Thanks for the pizza and the wine. But like, we did what we were supposed to do, so you should get home. So as she's like helping him get towards the door and pack up his stuff, she's helping him pack up his stuff. Please remember this. He asked if they could see each other again. And Bo said, you know, I really don't think that's a good idea because we did a hookup. Like, that's what happens. We already did this. Why we don't need to make this something that is not. I just gotta pause this story and say it's really interesting to see this like dynamic reverse, because usually traditionally, stereotypically, whatever, when a guy and a girl hooks up, then the girl's like, so tell me about your childhood, and she wants to get to know more about him. And that's when the dude is like, your Uber's on the way. But she did say that she was in her post-engagement villain arc. So at this point, Jun got a bit defensive and asked why they can't see each other again and said, we got along great, like what's the big deal?
Stop it. Get some help.
She said, this is a hookup, right? Like you sleep together once. If you decide to keep it going, you can do that. But we did the definition of a hookup already. And then Bo's like, I'm confused because isn't this what guys want? She's like, I've heard the stories about you smash and then you ghost. Like that's what y'all do.
We know who they are and what they do. This is what they do, and we must fight back.
But he again repeated himself and said, I really enjoyed my time with you and I'd like to do this again. And she repeated herself and said, you got to go.
There's the door. There's the door, bitch!
So he finally got it and he left her apartment. And she's like, Jesus, like what the hell was that? That's not how she expected that hookup to end. She thought he'd be like, yeah, thank you, bye. So for the next few days, he did try to contact her. First, it was via Tinder, but she unmatched him. Then it was via IG, and she blocked him. And then he also tried texting her, but she ignored his texts. So as the days went on, she went back about her life as usual, and she actually thought about hooking up again with someone different, someone who could actually do it and then just go, someone maybe a little bit better in that situation.
I'm better. I am better.
She liked the no strings attached sort of pleasure. So one day, she comes home from work and she's really tired, long, annoying, busy, crowded commute, and all she wants to do is shower, eat, get in bed, watch some TV, and relax. All was good until she got a knock at the door, and she doesn't get a lot of company. She doesn't know a lot of people in Korea, and they especially don't show up unannounced. So she kind of just waits a minute, and then they knock again. So then she cautiously gets to the door, sees who's at the door, and it's the police at her door.
Hold up. Hey. That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast.
So she opened the door, concerned, confused, and a little scared, and asked like, what, can I help you? So the police verified her name, and they told her that she's been accused of withholding someone's property. So she of course is like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know anyone. So for some reason, the police were there to facilitate the transfer of Jun's things from Bo back to Jun. So yeah, Jun was there too, and this is the first time he's seeing her face to face since she stopped responding to him and they hooked up. So yeah, remember he came over with pizza and wine and his phone charger and some clothes to change into, but Bo helped him pack as she was kicking him out. So apparently his charger was still there, and she's like, oh my god, my bad, like I didn't know your charger was still here, you could have told me. She gave him his charger. But he also claimed he had a phone that was left there, and she knew that his phone was there but was keeping it from him. Like, is all this just to see her again? Is all this to get her in trouble?
Well, what was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I just explained the reason.
What was the reason, bitch?
So yeah, she gave him the charger but insisted there is no phone here. Like, what are you talking about? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in the middle of editing this story time, and this whole phone situation involving the police reminded me of something that happened to one of my friends in 2018. She went clubbing in Hongdae at Sabotage, and it was a drunk Korean girl and her boyfriend who came up to her and told her that she broke their phone. No proof, no evidence or anything. They barely spoke English, she barely spoke Korean, and they told my friend to give them money to repair their broken phone, even though there's no proof or evidence that my friend caused their phone to break or be damaged. They went and got the police involved, and the police made her hand this Korean couple money to fix the phone. I can't remember the amount, but it wasn't something minor, because I remember she was really pissed and really upset about it later when she told me what happened. Sorry, back to this story time. She said you can call this phone that's here, you can track it or whatever. I've not seen a phone here for the past few days. So the police is like, well, there's nothing more we can do. Like, we can't search her apartment. So then the police are telling Jun it's time to go. But he is not leaving without this imaginary phone. So unless he had two phones somehow and hid one without her knowing, he only has the one, because when he left her apartment reluctantly, he did use his phone to try and contact her again. He tried to text her. So unless he has two phones, he was using his phone to communicate with her after the hookup. He left with his belongings. But he insisted that his property was inside and she was hiding it to be petty. So at this point, Bo reluctantly explains to the police what's going on here. She had one of her friends call in to like help translate the situation because she doesn't speak Korean that well, but she has a friend who speaks Korean really well, and she could communicate with the police for her. So she explained she has no reason to be petty. They met up once and she was good with that. She didn't want to see him again, but he kept wanting to see her. And she showed them the text. She's like, if he really left his phone here, how come none of these texts say, I need my phone, I left this at your house, where's my charger? Yeah, nothing. The messages were like, when are you free? Do we really end like this? Can I not see you again? Why won't you reply? So with that was evidence enough that the police needed to get Jun away from her and leave, because obviously there's no phone in there. He not once did he say, I need my phone, I left my phone at your place in those messages. So the police believed her, luckily. His Korean ass called the Korean police on this foreign girl, knowing whose side they would take.
I'm in disbelief. This bitch.
Trying to make it seem like she stole from him.
Oh, she stole something, all right. His heart.
This could have been really bad for her, and she could have been in a lot of trouble. But thank God, that's where it ended. So your homeboy called the police on this girl because she wouldn't hook up with him again or date him after their hookup. Bo, this was short and sweet. Thank you so much for sending in this story. Like, it's a cautionary tale. Because sometimes, I guess guys do get attached and they want more, and when they can't have the more, then they do shit like this and call the cops on you. But yeah, somehow we're always told that women are the crazy ones. Crazy is equal. Men and women are both crazy. If you enjoyed What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited because this is by far my most favoriteest ever story time I've ever told on my channel ever. I cannot emphasize ever. Y'all are literally gonna need some steaming, piping fresh tea. I'll give you a second. I'll wait. So for today's story time, we have another clubbing in Korea sort of doozy, except it has that The Boy Is Mine Mekhi Phifer twist treatment at the end. This story time was an absolute pleasure to read because I love when women team up together for a common cause. It's refreshing to see the joint united front instead of blaming each other and attacking each other and trying to compete with each other. Like, we just need way more of this. Before we get into the video, as always, please watch until the end of this video. I promise you, oh my god, it's so good. Drive up the engagement, leave a like, leave a comment for the algo, for the watch, for the engagement, for the tea in today's case. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please binge my videos. They're put together conveniently in playlists. There's a ton of story times on this channel, vlogs in Korea that I've done personally, rants, all that good stuff. And as always, thank you to my channel members. If you guys want to become a channel member, there's a link in the description, or you can click the join button right next to the subscribe button. And if you have a story you'd like to share, you can email me at ccelesson3@yahoo.com. Sorry, these glasses are causing a glare. So today's star asked to be called Kim from Kim Possible because she says she was on a mission to expose this cheating Korean asshole.
Expose him! Expose him!
Kim is a young uni student in Incheon. This is another Incheon story for the week. Being a young, stressed out adult, naturally you tend to escape via the nightlife and alcohol and drinking and partying and dancing. Kim says she is no different. She heard all the stories, as we all have, and she says she just had to experience it and see it for herself firsthand. She's new to Korea, so she spends all her free time with her roommate. So they went out to this club in this particular night as a pair, just them two, and they spot a cutie. She said he was giving chaebol vibes and all that energy because he was really confident, he was really good looking, he was well dressed, and he kind of just looked like he came from money. And she said for this story, she wants to call him Bin. She asked that we call him Bin because it's kind of a play on words like the rubbish bin, a garbage bin, saying that he's trash.
Know your fucking place, trash.
But it's also a part of Korean names like Subin, Jaebin, so she felt it was kind of necessary. Anywho, Kim saw that a lot of girls were looking at Ben and kind of just throwing themselves at him, so this kind of made her less interested. She was just kind of like, ooh, yeah, no thanks, he's probably a player.
Bitch, you guessed it! You was right.
So she looked the other way. She goes to the bar with her roommate and they get ready to order some drinks. But like, we always want what we can't have, right? So Ben's got all these girls throwing themselves at him and looking at him, and these two girls not looking at him for some reason. We can't have that. He can't not have the attention of every girl in his club. So he makes his way to the bar and offers to order them some shots so they could all take a shot together. Of course, Kim and her roommate said yes because it's free alcohol. Like, come on. So the three of them had their shots. They thanked him, and then Kim's roommate dragged her to the dance floor and they just left. Like, can you imagine? Thanks, bye. So Ben's like, what the fuck? And he follows them to the dance floor. He went straight to Kim and asked her what her name was. She said, hi, I'm Kim. And then he jumped straight to, you're just my style. You're my type. And she's like, oh, how's that? Like, why is that? He said, you're pretty, you dance well, I like your smile, and you're smart. She said, bro, you said like 2 words to me. You don't know that I'm smart. And he said, oh, because you came to Korea, that makes you smart. Then she said, are you even single? Like, you don't look like you'd be single. He said, of course I'm single. In Korea, if you have a girlfriend, you can't go to the club. What mythical BS is she trying to propagate? We all know, men, regardless, women too, wherever you are, whatever country, whatever nationality, you go to the club and people cheat. I'm not saying people go to the club to cheat, but you don't go to the club, like, it's not like it's just for single people, let's be real. It's like when black dudes say black men don't cheat. Yes, everyone does. Like, what are you talking about? Anywho, she said she was a little buzzed, so she decided to play along with this, you know, do it for the plot energy. We love that. That's like my new favorite thing of this year. So they exchanged cacaos and agreed to be in touch. And she said she didn't think much of it because at this point, she said she probably had like 10 to 12 dudes saved on her phone who she never ever heard from again, even though they asked and initiated, like, oh, let me get your contact information. Never heard from them again. So she didn't expect this to be any different. She was wrong. So about a week goes by and she gets a text. This is all it says. Hey, want to join me in the club this Thursday? That's all it says. Not, hey, how's your day? Hey, how you been? Hey, remember me? Hey, it's Ben. Just straight up, hey, come meet me in the club on Thursday. So she said, I'm sorry, who's this? He's like, oh, it's Ben. Remember we met at insert club name here? So she's like, oh, okay, hey, hello to you too. But she declined because Thursday is a school night and she also had zero interest in meeting up just in clubs. So she said, no, you know, have fun, but no thanks. So Ben apologized and said, okay, you know, you're right. I'm sorry. How about we do dinner instead? And to that, she agreed. There was a ton of restaurants she wanted to check out. There's some she saw on TikTok that she wanted to go to. So she suggested where they could go. And instead of meeting on Thursday, they decided to meet Saturday evening for dinner. So they picked the station, they picked the time, they knew exactly where and when they were gonna meet. One funny thing that happened before the Saturday evening they were meant to meet up, on the Thursday, the same day where he invited her to go clubbing with him, she got what she assumes to be a drunk text because it was so random. All it said was, hey gorgeous, don't wait to see.
What do you mean by that?
That was it. That was the whole message. So she showed her roommate, they had a good laugh about it, and she's like, you know, he's really cute, have fun, let me know if you're gonna need the SOS call, update me, enjoy yourself, I'm living through you. So fast forward to Saturday evening, and unfortunately Kim was running a little bit late because she got lost. So she told Ben, I'm so sorry, I'm not really sure where I'm at or how to get to where you are, but I'm a little bit lost. So then he said, oh, just drop me a pin and I'll come to you. Which, you know, that was a tiny little thing, but it's also a very sweet thing to do. So conversation at dinner is great. He's making good eye contact. He's making her laugh. He's being very attentive. He seems to be listening. And I say seems because do they ever actually listen?
No!
One thing that kind of was, you know, annoying her, or that stood out to her a bit, was his phone kept going off. So she was like, why don't you either silence it or pick up because it could be an emergency? So then he hits this, you know, this little play line like, oh no, nothing's more important than me getting to know you right now.
Cute.
So at the restaurant, it lived up to everything she hoped it would be. The scenicness of it, scenic. Visually, it was very pretty, just like it was on the video she saw on TikTok. She was very happy with her food. She took all the pictures and everything. She's taken a lot, you know, get ready to post it for the gram, her adventures in Korea. And then Ben suggests they take a picture together. Now, normally, you know, when a guy or a girl has a main that they don't want finding out about this cheating, you know, they're like, oh, no social media, no. But the fact that he insisted and was like, oh, let's take a picture together, kind of made her feel a little bit warmer. Like, okay, maybe he is being honest about being single. He's not single, but sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So with that, they met up a few more times. She didn't say how many, but she said a few. So I'm assuming, you know, a casual dinner or lunch or walk or drinks or something here or there. And they were hitting it off. She enjoyed spending time with him. So much so, in fact, that she said, I want to fuck him. So she explained to Ben that her and her roommate were going to Seoul and they were going to get a hotel because they didn't really get the chance or free time to spend a whole lot of time in Seoul. They were only in their little Incheon bubble. So she said, yeah, me and my roommate, we're going to get a hotel in Seoul and you're invited. I'm not sure what the plan was with the roommate, but I'm assuming she agreed to make herself scarce for a few hours so they could smash. And of course Ben was down for that. He's like, oh yeah, I can meet you there. Yeah, that sounds like fun. So he took her to this really nice bar in Seoul, and after the bar they went back to her hotel room and they did grown people stuff. They did what adults do who love each other. Psych, love. So once they finished, he said, oh, I need a shower. So he went to shower. She said, I'm gonna probably go back to sleep and take a little bit of a nap. And she did plan to take that nap, but his phone kept going off in his pocket and she just kept hearing it. So she's like, I'm nosy. So while he's in the shower, she gets up, goes in his pocket, holds up his phone. Now, I don't know if it was like his screensaver or the picture that came up when this person called, but she described it as Ben holding up a beautiful Korean woman. They're smiling at each other, making eye contact. So I'm imagining like he's holding her like this, right? Like Lion King. And she's looking down at him and like they're happy. And she sees a ring on the girl's finger.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
You don't gotta be smart to connect the dots of what the implications here are. So Kim's sitting there like, wow, he played me, I fell for it, like, oh my god. So she was upset, but she also said she felt more sad for this girl because clearly there's history there, you know, if she's the wife or fiance or something, like that's a whole thing. I just met this dude a few weeks ago. It's not a big deal. Now apparently when you answer the phone, you don't have to unlock it first, you can just swipe to answer. So she knew she didn't have his password or PIN or fingerprint or face recognition or anything. So she answered the phone and then hung up. So she had access to his phone. It was open, it was unlocked at that point.
Oh my god! Wow!
So with this newfound freedom into his phone, she goes through his pictures, sees that same woman a few more times. They're clearly happy and spending a lot of time together. And then she goes to the number that called and writes it down so she has this girl's number. She had every intention of contacting her later when she's away from Ben. But while he's in the shower, she's like, okay, I'm gonna take a picture of his phone. I'm gonna take a picture of his clothes. Maybe get a video of his silhouette in the shower. I got the picture of us together at dinner. I have evidence in case she don't believe me. I know this is hard to hear. I mean, you gotta have the receipts ready. So as the shower ends, she puts his phone back in his pocket. She crawls back into bed and pretends like she's sleeping. And when he gets out of the shower, he cuddles up behind her, kisses her on her head, and just cuddles her. And she's laying there like this. Clownish motherfucker. But she decides to stir a little bit like, oh yeah, how long was I out? So then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I actually have to head back out. I gotta get ready for work. There's a work meeting, a work function. And this suited her just fine because she was disgusted with him. And at the same time, she's like, yeah, my roommate's probably gonna come back soon anyway, so you should go. She wanted to alert this woman. By the way, we'll call her Ane. That's Korean for wife. We'll call her the beautiful Korean woman on the phone. We'll call her Ane. The first thing Kim does is tell her roommate everything that happened. Like, she comes in the door, she's like, bitch, you won't believe. So after filling her in, catching the roommate up to speed, they devised a plan. And the plan was, this was Saturday. They said, you know what, Monday when Ben is most likely at work, this would be a good time for us to confront the wife and let her know what her man has been up to behind her back. Kim has all these pictures and videos to prove that she just fucked her man. She had every intention, every belief that he was single. But she said, look, if he did this with me so casually like this, there's no way I'm the first and there's no way I'll be the last. But at the same time, she wanted to contact this girl to confirm because this could have been a big ass misunderstanding. Maybe she was the ex and she wanted to get back with him and that's why he was ignoring the phone calls. Who knows? Like, there's a lot. Find out for sure. Context is everything. So now it's Monday, y'all. Get your tea ready. Now, luckily, Kim is great at Korean. She said before she went to uni there, she wanted to be able to blend in with the locals. She wanted to be on their level, surprise them, impress them. She took her Korean studies very seriously. She's shy about using it. That's why she never really spoke it with Ben. But in this case, where it seemed absolutely mandatory, she's like, I can be brave. I can speak Korean.
I'm totally not nervous.
So she calls this woman and the woman says, hello, hi, like, who's this? And she sounds so friendly and Kim is just like, oh god, this is gonna suck. And she said, I know this is gonna sound really strange, but I was with a guy on Saturday night and this number kept calling him. We were in a hotel when you called on Saturday evening. She gave the timestamp and everything just to add more credibility to her side of the story. She said, we met at a club a few weeks ago. I was under the impression that he was single, but when you called, I started to question that because you seem like his partner. Ane did confirm that she is indeed Ben's fiance.
Trash.
What's up, guys? It's Isis editing from the future. After getting to this part in the editing process, I just have to ponder. I mean, 9 times out of 10, when a couple decides to get married or engaged, it's a man who initiates it. It's a man who proposes. So why then do they cheat? Why then do they say, I want you to be my wife, if they still want to go around and be with other women? I just don't understand. Like, I would much rather be dumped than cheated on. Both has happened. And let me tell you, I felt much better about being dumped than I felt about being cheated on. Like, just end it. If you don't want to be with me, end it so I can be free too. I don't understand. Like, if you want to be around all these other women and have your fun, then do that. Why lock down one woman or attempt to lock down one woman if you don't want to be with just that one woman? And I'm not saying that women don't cheat too. Women absolutely cheat. But every credible source, every study, Google it, I dare you, shows that men are far more likely to cheat than women are. Don't settle down until you're ready to settle down. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, not to sugarcoat it, she went into detail Ane asked her, she's like, wait, so when did this happen? Because yeah, she's probably trying to do the math, you know, like, okay, so that was Saturday night. He said he was doing this, but that makes sense because he was also not in the house when this happened. Just comparing, you know what I mean? That's what we do. Girls, we always find out, bruh. So Kim is saying, oh yeah, we went out to dinner this time. We went for a walk on this time. We got drinks this time. I know this is hard to hear. I know this is a lot, but I was completely under the impression that he was single. He told me he was single. He said, in Korea, men can't go to the club if they have a partner. They only go to the club if they're single, which she knew was a lie. She said we went to dinner and drinks. I have pictures of us together. I have a picture of his phone. He was just taking a shower when you called. Like, I have pictures and video if you don't believe me. I know it might be hard to see, but if you don't believe me or you need evidence, it's there. Shockingly, Ane said, no, girl, I believe you. Like, the times matched. Like, how else would you have my number and know that I called him Saturday night unless you were with him? But she did say, I do want you to send me that stuff because when I confront him, like, obviously he's gonna lie, you know? He's like, what are you talking about? I was at work. Kim said it got really difficult because on the phone, she could tell that Ane was like holding back tears and she was trying to like suppress, you know, that knot in your throat. Like, she could tell she was upset. Like, she just heard like deep breaths and trying to stay calm, but very upset. She said she was surprised when Ane next asked her, she said, by the way, don't cut him off, like don't ghost him, keep things up as usual, pretend you're still interested. You don't have to kiss him or fuck him again necessarily, but like if he asks to meet up, if he asks what you're doing, like can you keep it going and maybe send me that information or screenshots? And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever you need, girl. So basically, Ane's plan was for when Kim and Ben met up next, Ane would show up too. Again, I love this story for so many reasons. One, there's a stereotype that Asian people, specifically Asian women, are like soft, submissive, gullible pushovers, but Ane said, no bitch, what you not gonna do is cheat on me. And also, again, like I said earlier, I just love when women team up for a common cause and look out for each other. Not everything needs to be a competition or like I'm better than her, I'm still her man, I'm skinnier than her, I'm prettier than her, you're the reason my boyfriend cheated on me. Like, it don't gotta be that. So seeing two women team up like this just get me all warm and tingly inside. Not fighting over no man.
And you know this, man?
So of course, it didn't take Ben long at all to suggest another hookup. But this time, Kim was like, oh yeah, you know, you can come over to my place. My roommate will be gone, she'll be away. And I was a little confused because when she said college student, I assumed she lived in the dorms. And I think they're pretty strict about having company over and curfews and stuff. So I guess they have like an apartment together, which is even better. That's a lot more freedom. She's getting a real Korean experience. Ben agreed to come over to her place. Kim gives Ane all the details, her address, the time, the date that they're planning to meet up so she can just show up. And Ane thought it was funny because he had already said, oh, I actually have to go away for a work thing and I'll be back the next morning.
You look so dumb right now.
Like he already had his alibi, his excuse set up. But it was really just a booty call. It was really just a booty call, booty call. It was really just a booty. By the way, the roommate's not actually away. She said she was waiting at a cafe like across the hall in case shit got real because, you know, when you're confronted about an uncomfortable truth like cheating, you might spaz out and go crazy and get a little dangerous. So she said, I will be across the street at this cafe in case you need reinforcements. Hit me up. So Ben arrives at her place and he's like, hey, gorgeous, I missed you. And she said he went in for a kiss and she just coughed in his face. Like, oh, sorry, I think I'm sick. Can you imagine just So Kim's like, yeah, I figured we could Netflix and chill, watch a movie together, order from Pedal to stay in. He agreed and said, oh, that sounds great. I'm actually starving. So they ordered food. You know, they're chilling on the couch, getting ready to eat. And of course, when the doorbell rings, they assume it's their food, but it's Ane, y'all. It's hot. So the funny thing is when Kim went to get the door, she feigned ignorance. She acted like she didn't know who she was. She was like, 누구세요? And then she calls out to Ben. Ane's like, Ben. And then Ben looks at her and he freezes. He's like, he sees the girl he's been hooking up with and his fiance standing next to each other. And he's just like,
damn.
Now, of course, this is when Ben decides to switch to Korean and he's pleading to Ane like, oh, no, 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 no.
Oh, no. No, 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 no.
Like, I know this looks, he's speaking in Korean, all in Korean, but he does not know that Kim can understand. So he's like, oh, Ane, I know this looks really weird, but I'm just helping this girl out. Like, she's just got to Korea. She's desperate to learn Korean. She's sick and she's not feeling well, so she didn't want to go out. So I agreed to come over. We ordered food. We thought that's who you were. Like, nothing bad going on. I'm just tutoring her in Korean.
Why are you acting so nervous? And why are you sweating so much? And why do you look so hungry? And...
No, wait, it's not what you think. This is a big misunderstanding. You've got to believe me. Listen, I am telling you, you better listen to me, SpongeBob.
You like
Foreign ass.
don't you?
Ben. So Kim's still just standing there like, acting like she don't know what's going on. And without saying another word, Ane gets out her phone and she sends Ben all the pictures and videos that Kim has sent her. But she took it a step further. She actually decided to also send it to his family and her family. So now everybody is aware that Ben is a cheater. With the truth confronting him in the face, he stood his ground. This was a hill he was prepared to die on. He's like, what do you mean? Like, what is this? I don't know what this is. I didn't know she took that. Like, who sent you this? Did you send this to her? So then when Kim started to speak to Ane in Korean, apologizing, that's when I think the gears clicked and he realized the war was over. Like, you're busted. Maybe next time you think before he cheats. But y'all, it somehow gets even better. With all this happening around him, he decided to turn to Kim and blame her for this. He said, why would you ask me to come to your place? Why would you ask me to come over to your apartment if you knew that I had a partner?
Really, nigga?
He needs some milk.
So, you know, all jokes aside, it's funny, like, how this happened, but it's because we're not in it, you know? So Ane was actually hurt, tried to hold back these tears, and when it just became to be too much, she spoke to her in Korean and she said, thank you so much for preventing me from making a big mistake by marrying a cheater. She hugged her and then she left Kim's apartment. She left, like she ran. And then Ben was hot on her tail, I guess trying to like win her back or explain, get his woman, I don't know. But yeah, they both left her apartment and then she told her roommate she can come over and explain what went down. Now Kim did say she's not sure what happened to them after, but she does think, she's pretty sure that Ane didn't take him back because on her Kakao, her profile picture is like her with some other dude and they look like they're in a relationship, so we're hoping that she didn't take him back. As for Ben, he blocked her, but before blocking her, he blamed her for his relationship troubles and said this was your fault, I hate you, yada yada yada, block. Boy oh boy did this story have everything. Kim, girl, thank you so much. Like I said, we need more of that energy of like looking out for each other instead of competing and blaming and trying to outdo. Like, we don't need that. We don't need that. I'm grateful that Ane was understanding and she believed her. She wasn't like, you're this whore and you seduced my man, it's your fault, because that happens all the time, doesn't it? And I'm also grateful that Kim wasn't like, I don't know, in denial about it or like, oh, not my problem, and decided to just be the sneaky link. That's what y'all kids say these days, sneaky link. What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm wearing blue today because I am very hopeful that today's election will have a favorable outcome. I really fucking hope so. Anyway, I am here with a doozy of a story time for you guys. It's been a while since we did a story time here, but boys, I think this one's worth the wait. The way this one's gonna work, there are definitely some very raw and graphic bits that I will get demonetized, clearly. You see like the title of the video, like you know what we're gonna get into. It's explicit. On my Patreon is the actual email and it's raw, uncut realness. This is gonna be YouTuber friendly version of the story. It presents a warning I think you guys really need to hear, and just something that I never thought I would actually like hear explained to me or hear about. Like, I didn't know people were out here doing this in real life. Hooking up in Korea. Let's just get right into it. So today's story, let's call her, she doesn't want to be named because there's probably going to be some degree of victim blaming at this point, because what happens to her, they're like, well, you should have waited longer to know the guy before you trusted him with your butt. We're not going to name her. Let's call her Mirabel. It's been a while since we used her and I love, we don't talk about Bruno. So Mirabel decided to go to South Korea for a trip. She says she knew that 2 weeks would be too short. She didn't think a month would be long enough, so she went for 6 weeks. She opens this email, you know, like, hey, so we hear a lot about how Korea is very desperate to get people to have babies again. They're trying so much to get people to reproduce, but what this guy did, she's like, this is beyond me. Her first day in Korea, she had all these plans, like, okay, so I'm gonna go shopping, I'm gonna go to the clubs, I'm gonna meet some people, eat some amazing food. And the thing is, she went solo, it's completely a solo trip, and she said that she's not at all shy. So even if she starts off like in a place alone or she starts off on a solo trip, she knows it won't end that way. Like, she has no problem making friends, so she wasn't worried about that part. So she'd go to the club alone and make some friends, make some plans with people to hang out. So the first night though, when she got to Korea, she said she just had to do like a hard reset and just sleep for the whole day. She was in an Airbnb by herself. She booked the whole place out. She didn't want to have like any roommate situations or like have to tiptoe in and wake somebody up, or if she wanted to bring a guy back, she didn't want that to be an issue. So Airbnb, solo, private, so she can have fun in Korea, uncensored and uninterrupted. For like her first week in Korea, she went out to the club like every night, but it was on a Thursday night in particular that she met this boy.
Wow. She slept with some young boy.
Let's just call this boy Suregi because he's trash. No, I'm kidding. We should give him like a proper name. Let's call him Park. Sure, Park. So Thursday night, she goes to the club. She meets Park. She goes alone because she came to Korea alone. And he was sitting there by himself. And she's like, I wonder why he's sitting here by himself. So she goes up to him and just sparks up some conversation. She's fully aware that she's only in Korea for 6 weeks, 5 weeks at this point left. And she said, like, look, if I see something, I gotta go get it. 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 So she goes up to him, asks him why he's sitting alone. He's like, oh, well, I'm not alone. I don't know where my friends went. And he asked her why she's alone. She's like, oh, I'm on a solo trip to Korea. She decided to just offer him a shot. She's like, you want this? And at first, he didn't realize that she was talking to him. So he's like, choyo, like me? So they take shots together. And this is when the conversation starts. So when she described him, she said he had his hair like parted down the middle and it was kind of like shaggy and curly. She assumes it was a perm because it was curly. She thought his haircut was really cute. She said he was a little bit taller than her. He was definitely very buff because his shirt was a little too tight and you could see like the outlines of his chesticles. She said he was definitely younger than her and he wore gray contact lenses. And she said it's funny because the more he drank, the more his eyes went away. People do like eye smiles and like they get really happy and their eyes get smaller when they laugh. So I'm assuming that's what she meant. So she said he became very giggly after he like took the shot from her. He's like, like he was just kind of dorky and giggly. And she had to ask him like, why didn't you think I was talking to you? And he's like, oh, well, women don't really talk to me like that. And she had to ask why. She's like, wait, but you're so cute. What do you mean they don't talk to you? And he's like, uh-oh. So clearly there's a little flirtation going on in the club right now. In the club, we all fam. He turned so red. Like she had only seen people turn that red in cartoons. She didn't know people could turn that red and blush that hard in real life. So she knew like, I think he liked me. They went back to the topic of being like alone in the club. Like again, he lost his friends. She's here alone because she's on a solo trip. So then he says, oh, like you're very brave to come to Korea all by yourself, especially being a woman. And he's like, don't worry, I can protect you for the night. So she's like, oh, you're only gonna protect me for this one night? Like what about the rest of my trip? This is when he went from like this fumbling dork to sort of like a Riz guy. Like suddenly he was all smooth. And then she said this was the first like instance of him becoming daddy. I think daddy means different things to everybody, but to her it meant someone who's like rizzy and more dominating. She said, oh, well, how long do you want my protection? And she said he looked her right in the eye as he said that. As he's making this eye contact with her, suddenly he's a lot more serious and it's intimidating, but not like in a I'm scared way, more like she was impressed, like, wow, sexy, okay, I'm getting a vibe here. So then she says it depends on what kind of protection you're offering. And then he said, whatever protection you want.
What do you mean by that?
And it got to the point where she's like, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore at this point. Like, we're just talking about protection and like, do you mean security? Are we talking about sex? Like, what are we talking about? So, this is a playful banter. She's like, oh, I'm sure you say that to all the girls. Like, I'm sure you offer protection to every girl you see that you find fit and cute. He's like, no, just you. You're the only one. So then he asked her if she wanted a drink. She's like, yes, please. Thank you. So they have some drinks. As the night is going on, she's not really vibing with the music too much, but she was pleased that Park asked her for a dance. She's like, yes, actually, I would like to dance. And she wanted to pay attention to what his body was going to do. And she said it was a good sign because like he started doing body rolls and he was like grinding on her and he was like grinding her back into the wall. So next thing you know, the wall's behind her, he's right in front of her, grinding and body rolling and looking her in the eye while he does it. So as it always comes up when you're talking to a strange guy in Korea that you don't know, they talk about, where do you live? Where are you staying? Park asked her who she was staying with and she's like, no one. I came here on a solo trip, so I'm just by myself. Of course, he loved to hear that. So yeah, he's body rolling and like hip grinding or whatever, and then he takes her hands and like rubs it down his chest and like his abs or whatever. And she said, it was cute, but like he had a few little bumps, like he had some some abs there. And she said, I don't know if I would have did that unless I was working with more, but she thought it was cute, so she actually giggled. And then he like got in her ear and said, "What's funny? Why are you laughing?" And she just kept saying he's being such a daddy, and she can't really explain what she means by that. That's just how she felt in the moment. So yeah, she said, "Nothing, I just find you really cute." He quotes JB. Do y'all remember that JB moment where he was like, "I'm not cute, I'm sexy"?
귀여운 귀엽나? 귀여운 거 모르겠는데 제 명언 있잖아요. I'm not cute, I'm sexy. 예, 좀 섹시한 사람이고. 왜 비웃어?
So this made Mirabel laugh again. So then he took her arms and pinned them by her side and repeated himself like, "I'm not cute, I'm sexy." And she said this time she wasn't laughing. And because this moment was so tense, before she knew it, she was kissing him. She just went for it. And then he kind of pulled back and she said she felt embarrassed. But then he did like this little smirk and kissed her again. But this time he like grabbed her head and like pulled her in. And next thing you know, they're making out in the club. She said he was a great kisser. Like he tilted her chin and, you know, all those Bridgerton things we love. And he had her pressed against the wall and she really liked that. She said she felt smaller. I like when people smell small with no, like, smaller, I'm smaller. They had to have been kissing for like 4 songs straight. So it was just them two. Nobody else existed. It was one-on-one in the club. So it's getting to the point where she's like, "So you trying to leave with me? Like, you have to come with me because you said you're going to protect me. I need your protection." But at this point, he completely forgot about all that banter they had earlier about like, "Oh, I could offer you my protection. Oh, you're brave. I'm going to protect you for the night." He was like, "What? Protection?" He completely forgot. Homie's drunk or something. I don't know. So when they compared whose place was closer, they realized that he was actually only like a 15-minute walk from where they were. So they decided to go to his place. She said she can't explain it any other way other than they just wanted each other ASAP. ASAP, baby. Hurry up, don't say maybe. They arrived to his apartment, and no sooner than them taking their shoes off at the door, they're undressing each other, they're making out, they're not even talking anymore, no words needed. Before she knows it, they're naked on his bed, and he's like about to enter, requesting clearance. I don't know how else to say this on YouTube, but she had to stop him because she's like, "Wait, there's no raincoat." Yeah, we're gonna use raincoat. He's like, "Raincoat?" Obviously they're saying the actual word, but I'm on YouTube, so I'm gonna say raincoat. He's like, "Raincoat? I don't understand. What is raincoat?" She's like, "You know, no disease, no baby. A raincoat prevents all of that." She found that incredibly hilarious because all this talk of protection in the club and he didn't actually plan to use protection with her.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
So he's like, "Oh, it's okay. We don't need." If I hear one more motherfucker say they don't need a condom, I'm gonna lose all of my shit. But luckily, Mirabel came prepared because she's heard all the stories about how so many guys over there don't like to use raincoats. So she's like, "Oh, it's cool. I got some in my purse." And she said, you know, it stopped the momentum. It did kill the mood a bit, but she had to let him know, like, if there's no raincoat, there's no horizontal tango. Like, it's not happening. So yeah, suddenly, magically, he fully understood exactly what a raincoat was. It was like, "Oh yeah, it's okay. Let's use." So, okay. The raincoat was on him. He was wearing the raincoat. She felt the raincoat when she touched him. So she knew it was there. That is very important to remember. She knows it was actually on him at one point. She saw it, she felt it. So because the raincoat was worn, they decided to start their adventure. Why do I feel like I'm telling a story, like a kid's story? Okay, so they're doing what they can do while safely wearing a raincoat. And it's going on for a bit. They're both enjoying themselves. Suddenly though, he stopped and he went downtown because he was hungry. Fuck, he went to eat downtown. I mean, that's what she said in the email. I think that's safe enough to say on YouTube. He went to eat downtown. He was down there for a while, ate well.
How to say eat well in Korean? 잘 먹어요.
She was a satisfied customer. Then, you know, after arriving, you know, ladies, you tend to be a little more sensitive to sensations down there and stuff. It's so much easier to say on Patreon. When they started again, so it felt better after she arrived. And she thought it was because she had just arrived, so she didn't think much of it, but she felt like more friction and more warmth. She didn't realize that he took off the raincoat, so he went back in. She arrived again. He was doing a lot of things that she liked being done to her. Like, he was restraining her, he was pulling her hair and things like that. And it was, you know, it made her happy. It was going on for too long. It got to the point where she's like, "Oh my God, like, I'm tired. Oh my gosh, like, it's been almost 2 hours of this. I'm really tired now. I hope he finishes soon." And she could tell he was about to finish because he was breathing louder, more rapidly, and starting to like moan a bit, more audible, more sounds. And she asked him if he was about to arrive, and he nodded. He's like, yeah. So she's like, oh, I want you to take off the raincoat and arrive here. He just kept like going. So she's like, okay, you know, it's fine. Maybe he didn't hear me. So she repeated herself and asked if he heard her, and he shushed her.
What the who the f you think you talking to?
He just said shh when she was like he's like shh, and you know, whatever. And she's like, okay. So then now she knows something weird, because what guy doesn't want a girl to like gulp? She's like, from what I gather, most guys do like when a girl, I think I can say swallow, right? When girls swallow. So she was about to do that. She wanted him to take off the raincoat so she could do that. But he was about to just keep going. So she actually like got him off. It's like, wait. And then she realized he wasn't wearing a raincoat anymore. And at that rate he was going, she's like, were you gonna finish like inside? Like, what the hell? So he starts to play dumb, and he's like, oh no, I think it broke, or it must have fell off. I'm so sorry. The raincoat got damaged. And she said he was handling his meat, I can say that, the whole time. So there's no way he didn't know it wasn't on anymore. He had to have taken it off on purpose. And she's like, bro, do you know how awkward this was at this point? You know, like we went from having a pretty amazing time together to now this awkward tension, because like I just caught you trying to betray my trust a bit, you know, and that's not okay. She was pissed beyond belief. Her words exactly. Mirabel's like, I really don't want to believe he was trying to get me pregnant on purpose. But what was that? Like, she still doesn't understand what was going on, but obviously it does feel better without a raincoat. And she had never without a raincoat before, so she didn't realize, but even she noticed it was way better without it. So she thinks that's the reason he was doing it. But then of course there's all this talk about like, oh well, Korea's really struggling with their baby count. Is he trying to contribute in his own way by hooking up with a random girl in the club without a raincoat? He stuck to his story, and she still did not believe him. She's like, there's no way you did not know that was not on anymore. So of course to him it's no big deal. He's like, okay, well I'll just put on another one and then we can finish. She's like, no, she's getting dressed and she's leaving. Like, she's ready to go. That's not okay.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
So now she's worried about like STIs and pre-arrival potentially being inside of her. That's actually something I don't know myself, but she kept asking like, is that illegal? You know, it started off consensual and protected and then became unprotected midway through. Like, that should be illegal. Is it? Does it depend on where you are? If y'all know, let me know in the comments. I don't know, but that is a good point. Like, is that illegal? It should be. So yeah, she's getting dressed and she's about to leave, but he's not really getting what's going on. She's dressed, like she's about to leave. Then he finally wants to say, okay, so like when I was downtown, it got dry and I took it off and I didn't want to get another one because it's out there in your purse in the living room and we're in here. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal. You're risking everything because you don't want to walk. Korean apartments are small, okay? You don't want to walk right over there to the living room to get it. Like, really? That's the excuse you're going with? It's like he thought, okay, well, if I tell her the truth, then she'll stay and like let me finish. And she's like, I'm still leaving. Like, I'm glad you got that off your chest, but I'm still leaving. He refused to accept the fact that she was leaving. At first, he's like, oh, it's okay. I don't have disease. I'm clean. And then when she's like, well, I'm not trying to be a mom, he says, baby is good. It's not so bad. So now she's freaking out like, I need to go get tested when I get back home. I need to make sure I'm not with child right now or be about to be with child. What's crazier, like this still gets so much crazier. He had the nerve to ask her for her phone number. He's like, hey, you know, I wish to see you again after this sometime. Like, you're still in Korea for a few more weeks, right? He's really just not, like, I don't know if he's drunk. I don't know how drunk he is, but he just does not sound like he's able to cope and understand. Like, I don't know what's going on. He was sober enough to perform and perform well by all accounts, but he can't understand why she's upset about this. She says she felt so insignificant, so disrespected, and like a pawn because like you're playing with her body, you're playing with her health. She said, if I got pregnant, then what? If I got an itch or a burn or became infertile, then what? All because you didn't want to go to the living room to get another one from my purse. Really? But I think we all know it's because it just feels better without. This is what I hear. I personally have never done it without a raincoat, but I understand that a lot of people don't like to wear them because it feels better. Oh, we're gonna get into the pulling out. Suddenly, he starts to get dressed too, and like he's trying to leave with her. Mind you, they're at his place. So she's dressed and she's heading for the door, and he's trying to like get dressed and leave with her. And the things he started to say, like he said it was unfair that she got hers, but he didn't get his because he felt like he was owed his as well. His conclusions, his his finish line crossing. And she said, oh, you think that's unfair? I think it's unfair how you took off your raincoat without telling me or asking me first. And he keeps saying he's clean and it's okay, and he has no kids because he pulls out.
Girl like this. You shut up! You shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
And when she heard Park say that, she got even more scared because she's like, oh, so you have a history of doing this. You never use raincoats. Okay. And the reason she knows he wasn't going to pull out is because he wouldn't even pull out when she was asking him to arrive on her tongue. Like the way he was going, she was pretty sure he was going to finish inside. So when she left the house, and this is, I said this on Patreon too, because I hear this a lot in these sort of arguments with when the guy gets upset or a Korean person gets upset, and he called her a bitchy. And she said she wasn't even mad anymore because, like, you sound immature, sir. So she left this encounter knowing I got to go get tested for baby and for disease. And she said she felt way less trusting of men after that. You know, she's like, who the fuck does that? Like, how selfish can you be? And not to mention dumb, because Mirabelle could have had something. And you could have caught something from Mirabelle. Like, it goes both ways. That's why you need to use protection. It's not just a one-way street of protection. It's for both. And after spending all that time in the club talking about, I'll protect you tonight, you couldn't even use protection properly, bruh. So that's where it ended with him. But she did have some like words with another Korean guy towards the end of her trip. They met on Tinder, and she said he's actually a good one. Like he's a nice guy. He's a normal guy. And when he asked her about like her time dating in Korea, she had to let him know about what happened with this Park guy. The Tinder dude started to say that a lot of guys in Korea act like they're allergic to, and full stop, this is not just in Korea. Like we've heard it time and time again how a lot of guys say they're too big to use one, it doesn't fit. And that's why you see girls put it like on their foot all the way up to their knee or rub it up to their elbow, like it'll fit. Don't let a dude tell you it doesn't fit. Or they'll say they're allergic and they can't use them. Like everybody has their and I'm not trying to say this is just Korea, but this is just what a Korean guy is saying about guys in Korea. He said that a lot of them act like they're like allergic to it, or they act like they don't know how to use them, or they act like they don't need them because they have various protections. Like I've told you guys, I've heard that a lot of them think that because they have kimchi, they can't catch anything. He also says something that I think is interesting, because he said that he thinks that raincoats are becoming harder to find in Korea because the government is really trying hard to get people to have babies again. Any horizontal tango activity, they're hoping results in more babies. So less ways to prevent that. And I don't know, we don't know if that's true. Like she said she wonders, but that is something really interesting. Like when I go back to Korea, I'm going to be looking like, cause they're in CU, they're in GS25, like they're Olive Young, like they're pretty much everywhere, every convenience store or whatever. So I just want to see like if I still see them as much as I used to. I'm very curious about that. We'll see soon. And she did say that she wanted to hook up with him before she left Korea, but after what happened with Park, she just felt like it was too soon to be with someone else. She felt icky about the whole idea, and plus she wanted to get tested first before she did anything with anybody. So now that she's clean and she knows that she's not with child, she says next time she goes to Korea she wants to hook up with Tinder dude, and he's like a good one. Like they still talk, and she hopes to see him soon. She's thinking about moving to Korea because she said even though she had this horrible, scary encounter with Park, she met the most amazing people. She ate the most amazing food. She saw some really cool places, and she had the best time. But yeah, she wanted to let you guys know, like, hey, dudes are out here removing it midway, so be careful if you notice like a change in sensation. Keep your eyes on the meat. Make sure, like, just make sure it's there, you know. So yeah, that is the tea. OMG. I would love to know what you guys think about this one down below in the comments. If you made it this far, you know, comment for the watch.
For the watch. For the watch.
For the watch.
We haven't done that in a while. I'm watching y'all. So after they showered together, Shin asked her if he could spend the night at her place, and she said at that point it was fine because it was like 11, almost midnight. It was pretty late, and she was like, yeah, you know, you might as well just stay if you want. Yeah, it was about 8 a.m. and he was gone. So she's like, oh, did he ghost me? What's going on? Did he get what he wanted and now he's gone? So she reaches for her phone to see if he messaged her, and he did leave a message. The text said, What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So for today, we got a Netflix and chill, aka a ramen and chill story time for y'all. This story is very personal and there is some thirst, so today's star would like to remain anonymous. We're gonna go with Raya. Have you guys seen Raya and the Last Dragon? That movie made me so emotional. Raya girl, thank you so much for sending everything you sent in the email. Honestly, this story goes so many places. I was reading this, I'm like, where's this going? Oh, this is going over here? Oh no, plot twist. Oh, this is, oh wait, that's not happening either. I had no idea where this story was gonna go. Where it ends, I did not see coming, so thank you so much for letting me tell this story on my channel. As always, please watch this video until the end of the video. Watch as long as you can. Audience retention is crucial to my channel growing. Y'all been doing the damn thing lately. Like, have you seen these numbers y'all been putting up? Also, do y'all hear that song in the background? Hit the like button if 7 by Jungkook slaps, if it's a bop. If it's fire, just leave a like if you like the song or me. For today's question of the day, it's a very relevant question to the story we're about to get into. Ladies, this is for you. Does size matter? Or is it more about the motion of the ocean? You know, people say it's not what you got, it's how you use it. So can the little guys get the job done as well, or is that just impossible? Let me know in the comments. Again, it's pretty relevant for the story we're about to get into, so it's not just for no reason that I'm asking. This is hard-hitting journalism. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this debate. So okay, onward into the story. Raya, she's an English teacher in Suwon, South Korea. It's about 45 minutes south of Seoul, so she's close to Seoul. She goes into Seoul a lot, but she lives and works in Suwon. She's been there for about a year now, and she said that, you know, she loves teaching, she loves being abroad. One of her passions is dancing, and she found some really great hip-hop studios that she likes to go to in her free time. She's made a lot of friends there. She also says she's a sucker for a man who can dance, which, girl, I agree. It's so hard to find a quality man who's also a quality dancer. Then she said after being in Korea, existing in Korea, all the couple culture, all the couples around her made her realize, man, I'm loving my new life over here, but I kind of want to start dating. Good for us. She decides to avoid Tinder because we've all heard the stories of Tinder. She goes to Bumble. I'm not sure Bumble is like much better, but I'm sure it's not Tinder, so it's a little bit better, right? And you know, on Bumble, you can select your interests and everything, so she chose dancing. By the way, if you guys hear noise, there's construction literally right outside of this window. Of all, I'm annoyed. So she's hoping to find other people who are also dancers and interested in dance like she is. So after a few weeks of the typical ONS, FWB, one night, hookup, I love foreigner sex prompts that she'd been getting, she finally found a guy that she liked, and she decided to pay for like Bumble Plus or Bumble Extra, whatever you call it, so she could see the people who liked her first. So she's scrolling through, and then there's one guy that catches her eye, but he also looks a little familiar. This boy is a dancer at the studio she goes to. She said in all the times that she's seen him, she got no inkling, no hints that he was interested in her, no look or smile or wink or flirt, nothing. As far as she knew, he did not know she existed. So she was surprised to see that he hearted her. She's like, wait, does he know me? Or does he not recognize me? Hesitant though she was, she decided to go ahead and match him, and because it's Bumble, she has to make the first move and make the first message, and she has no idea what to say. Hey, you know, looking good at the studio. Hey, stranger. Like, how do you approach? Oh my god, they're so loud. So she decided to keep it simple and just say, hey, it's nice to meet you. And to her surprise, he messaged her back right away. She was a little worried because his first message back was, hey, do you speak Korean? And she's like, oh, well, you know, I'm learning, but I just got here. I'm not really that good at Korean yet. So then he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I can teach you. I'm a good teacher. So then she asked him how his English was. And he said, oh, my English isn't good, but it's also not bad either. Which that sentence says a lot. So at this point in the conversation, there's still not much being given away if he recognizes her from the studio or not. So she just decides to ask him, what are your hobbies? Like, do you like to dance? He's like, oh, I love to dance. I'm really passionate about hip-hop dancing. She's like, oh my god, me too. But at that point, she was like, hey, he did not know I existed before today, because otherwise, at this point, surely he would have mentioned, oh yeah, you know, I think we danced together. I think I've seen you at my studio. So Raya tells him she goes to a dance studio. She tells him the name of the studio. He's like, what? Get out of here. So do I. I go to that same one too. So at this point, she figured it'd be best to just pretend like she never noticed him, never clocked him until now, because that would be kind of weird and might come off as a little bit stalkerish if she's like, yes, I know, I've seen you at the studio before. By the way, we're gonna call this guy Shin. I should have mentioned that. So for their first date, they decided to go out dancing together, which that sounds like so much fun. I've never had a guy invite me out dancing or ask me if I wanted to go out dancing.
Take you to every party, 'cause all you wanted to do was dance.
She's thrilled because Shin is so her type. And if y'all need a visual, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Shin is 27, 5'10". He has that middle part haircut and he dyes his hair like a medium brown, and it's so long that he has to keep brushing it back out of his face.
Her hair looks so sexy pushed back. Katie, will you please tell him his hair looks sexy pushed back?
He has a huge tattoo on his shoulder and his back, and he has muscle, but he's more lean because of dancing. He had a jawline that could cut glass. His style is very hip-hop. Imagine beanies, flannels, loose-fitting jeans, layers, hoodies. When I got this description, I kind of imagined B.I.
A dance floor made for two. 다리 부르는 선율. Oh, it's only me and you.
So yeah, would you not be excited to go out with that, given that description? She did say the timing of this wasn't the best because she was in the middle of planning her very first English camp, her summer English camp, and it took a lot of prep, a lot of time. So they kept their conversation going, but they weren't able to actually meet up for like 2 weeks. Fast forward to date night, and Shin recommends a lounge that they could go to. They could have a few drinks, they could chill, they could dance a little bit. It won't be too crowded or too loud. So they meet up, and she thinks they're just going to a lounge, but Shin says, you know what, I'm actually pretty hungry. Can we go eat first? And she was a little nervous because she's like, crap, I don't want to eat in front of him. You know, I'm shy. I don't want to look messy or like a pig. And I also don't want to look bloated from this inevitable food baby that I'm about to have. So she said they got to the restaurant. She was trying her best to restrain herself and to eat lightly, but she said that she loves Korean food and it just smelled so good. It all just looked so good. She went ham.
Damn, little lady. You sure can't put it away.
And then she looks up and Shin's laughing and giggling. She's like, what was so funny? He's like, oh, you know, seeing you eat in front of me, I feel like you're very comfortable with me, which is good. You know, a lot of girls, they're like, I'll take the salad. He's like, you know, a lot of girls are shy and insecure about having a guy see them and watch them eat. She's like, me? Pfft, insecure? Nah, never. You lying bitch.
Why you always lying?
So they wash that down with a drink and then head over to the lounge. So he gets them a drink, they sit, they fill each other out, they vibe, they talk, the chemistry is there. And you know, she's feeling a little loose from her drinks. And then he says, hey, let's go dance. So they go dance. And she was just in awe just watching him move. And she was just like, wow, like, oh my God. She said he was so attractive, so confident, so playful, and just so much fun. And then she recalls this moment of just sitting there like, wait, this is going too well. This is too good to be true. Where's the secret wife, the secret girlfriend, the love child, the warrant for his arrest? There's gotta be something going on. There's no way this guy is into me and he's this. Waiting for something to go wrong, and nothing went wrong. The night came and went without incident. They had fun. He wasn't forward. He wasn't too suggestive. He ended the night with a kiss on the cheek and a hug and said, I'll see you again soon. Hopefully we can do this again. She said he was the perfect gentleman. She said she also could not deny the building sexual tension between them two.
Sensual seduction.
So the next day they're talking about more of their hobbies, more of their interests, and they get on the topic of movies. And they're like, oh my God, I love movies. I love movies so much. And he asks her if there's a movie out that she wants to see now. She says Jurassic World, I think it was Dominion last summer. And she wanted to see that, but she said it had been a while since the last ones came out and she needed to see like a refresher course. He said he hadn't seen any of the originals from the 90s, so they decided to have a little movie date. She agreed that sounded nice. He invited her to his place and she agreed to come along. And she said at this point she could get the vibe that things were becoming a bit more Netflix and chill / ramen and chill, but she was hoping it would be that. He was totally her type. He was kind, he was a gentleman, and she wanted him bad. But of course, in the back of her mind, she can't, you know, escape like, oh, what if he ghosts me? What if he just wants this and he ghosts me after he gets it? But she also said girls have needs too, which is true. Fast forward to the following weekend. She's getting all ready. She's getting all sopped up, making sure she feels soft and smells good. She's wearing some sexy undergarments. She brings a bottle of wine and bam, she's on her way to his place. She gets there. He seems excited to see her. He hugs her, welcomes her in, and she's all like, oh, hey. She looks over and it's not just them two. She's not alone with him. He has his little brother on the couch. So they're gonna have a little Jurassic Park family movie night instead. In the email, she admitted she was so disappointed because she was just thinking about a night with him, but she was also gushing at how absolutely adorable his little brother was. His little brother was like 6 or 7. So she pulls him over to the side like, shit, I thought it was gonna be just the two of us, you know? He said, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my little brother was coming over too. How do you forget to mention that? And then Raya says she thinks that her disappointment was unintentionally visible in her face because he pulls her to the side and says, don't worry, we'll be alone next time. She smiles and blushes and tries to hide her giggle with her hands. So with the vague promise of peen for their next meeting, she decides to make the most of this, watch Jurassic Park, gets to know his little brother. If anything, she sees this as like, wow, I'm meeting the family already. She orders pizza for the little brother. She gets some cookies. You know, it's so easy to impress kids and make them like you. So she's working hard to make sure the little brother likes her. And she was so surprised at how good he was at English. English. He was like 6 or 7 years old and he's speaking damn near fluent. She kept making a joke that his English was better than Shin's. And then his little brother said while they were watching the movie, he said, I don't even need subtitles, but my brother does. So, you know, they're eating pizza, they're eating cookies, they're having fun watching these movies, and she's just like gushing over how cute he is. She's petting him on the head and rubbing him like, oh my god, you're so cute. So then he suddenly looks to Shin and says, is she your girlfriend? Raya just kind of laughs and looks at Shin like, yeah, what's this going? So then Shin laughs and says, I hope she will be soon. This is all happening fast. By the way, at this point, they've only known each other for like 3 weeks. So after he said, I hope she will be soon, the little brother nods, like, good, and then goes back to watching his movie and eating his pizza. Raya is so relatable in her email. Like, one of the things that she wanted to note is watching Shin interact with children, which just made him just so much more attractive, and I totally get that. Whenever I see a cute guy, a hot guy, a sexy man, playful with kids, when kids like them, it just gives you good vibes, you know what I mean? Ultimate green flags. So Shin's little brother fell asleep. It was getting late and she's like, yeah, you know, this was fun, but I think I should head back home soon. So he walks her to the door. He kisses her and it says, let me know when you get home. She was just not expecting their first kiss to be like that. She was just like, oh my god, he kissed me. Oh, it's okay. She says she felt flames through her body. Raya did not hesitate to invite Shin to her apartment the very next day. She said, this sounds thirsty. She knows, she's fully aware how thirsty she sounds, but she was thirsty. She can admit it. She's not ashamed. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I kind of find it like a turn on a little bit when guys are kind of oblivious to the fact that you want to sleep with them. It's nice to know that when they're spending time with you, they're not just thinking about having sex with you. They're thinking about other stuff. It kind of reminds me of when I went to Hong Kong with my ex, and while we're on the trip, you know, he's got everything scheduled out and detailed out. He's like, I gotta make sure you're not bored. We're gonna have fun. We got so much to do, so much to see. He was like, hey, I'm going to the store. Do we need anything? I was like, yeah, we need to get some. And he was just like taking the note in his phone. He's like, oh. He just started blushing. I was like, yeah, I don't see no boom boom on the schedule. We gotta pencil that in. I don't know, like I kind of get a similar vibe from Shin in this story, that he wants to get to know her. I could be wrong. We'll see where the story goes. But it just reminded me of that wholesome interaction with that ex. I vlogged that trip, by the way. If you want to see it, I'll add it to a card. She invites Shin to her apartment. He agrees, and she jokes like, are we gonna be babysitting anybody else again? He says, no, you only have to watch me.
What do you mean by that?
So take two, we're trying this again. She has on sexy undergarments, she's got her wine, she's trying to set the mood, low lighting or no lighting, candle lights maybe. She puts out wine, cheese, and crackers, and she pops on Netflix. So he was supposed to be at her place at 6. He showed up at 5:15. I think the thirst is mutual. So they're drinking first, they're having some wine, trying to relax and you know, just talk about past relationships, what they're looking for in a partner. Like, it got really serious, and she said, to be honest, it was kind of killing the mood because she kind of liked the playful side of him, but he was being like really serious, like, yeah, so what are you looking for in a partner? And she felt like it was a job interview. So then he gets up and sits on the couch in front of the TV and like pats on the couch to gesture for her to come and sit next to him. Raya joins, he puts his arm around her, and they start watching Stranger Things. She did say that he felt a bit distant. He seemed to be like keeping his hands to himself. He had his arm around her and then kind of took it around. I was like, all right, we're watching the movie. Hands in his lap, just watching the movie, and she's just like, touch me. Touch my body. Touch my body. Raya was absolutely waiting for him to make a move. She was just sitting there like, should I initiate? Should I wait for him to do it? Just do something. I've been waiting, think I wanna make that move. This fool fell asleep. Damn! She's just sitting there alone like, why is it so hard to get some quality dick? So she's sitting there watching Stranger Things by herself. Part 2 is really good anyway, so she's engaged. And then his phone goes off and it gets a little iPhone ping. Being nosy, looks over, and it's all in Korean. She says she could only make out a little bit of it and her Korean is really not that good at all. Well, your brother likes her, foreigner or not. If she's a good person, it doesn't matter. Go for it if you like her. The screen went dark before she could see the name of who sent it, and she was just kind of like, what does that mean? Like, go for it, sleep with me, or go for it, relationship with me? So she ends up like adjusting herself, and then Shin wakes up and he apologizes for falling asleep. He said he was up with his little brother the night before pretty late. She says, no worries, no problem. She gets up and asks him if he wants something to drink. He says, thank you. And while she goes to get a beverage for him, he gets on his phone and he reads the message and he smiles and kind of just nods and puts his phone down. So she's like, what was that? Suddenly Shin's more flirty, he's more assertive, and he's making a move. Like, he's more like, hey baby girl, let's start this thing. He's sitting closer to her, he's stroking her leg, you know, she's just like, okay, I think something's about to happen. The tension is building. He gets into position and he finally kisses her and they start making out. Part of her is happy, but also she has a bit of an alarm going off in the back of her head. Like, why is he just now suddenly starting to act like this? Especially after he just saw that text that I partially read on his phone. She said, but all that soon escaped her mind because he was such a good kisser. He was touching her and kissing her in all the right places, and they boom boom right there on the couch. So when they're done, she's just sitting there like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna leave. So after laying up and like cuddling on the couch a bit, he asked if it would be rude for him to take a shower. She said, no, you can shower, but I don't have like a change of clothes for you to put on. And he said, oh, did I have to put clothes on after? Fuck no! Homie just wants to be naked in her apartment. She said, well, no, I guess that's fine then. And he asked her if she wanted to join him in the shower. Y'all, they did boom boom in the shower too. She said, now pause, because this part of the story, you know, she didn't know what to expect from Asian men. She'd only been with Western men all her life, and she said that she has heard that they're más pequeño, dojaken. And that's also a question I used to get a lot from y'all. Y'all know who y'all are. If it's not you, then it's not you. But if it is you, it is you. Like, people would ask me on my DMs on Instagram, comments here, what's it like to be with an Asian man? And first of all,
You stay right there, you little nasty!
second,
Mind your damn motherfucking business, bitch!
so yeah, sorry, all that being said, Raya didn't know what to expect. She put all this in email. She was like, yeah, you know, I was always kind of curious. I didn't know what it would be like. But she said it was actually better than she thought it was gonna be. So she happily joined him in the shower for seconds.
Give me more.
So after they showered together, Shin asked her if he could spend the night at her place. And she said at that point it was fine because it was like 11, almost midnight. It was pretty late, and she was like, yeah, you know, you might as well just stay if you want. But when she woke up the next morning, he was gone, and she was surprised she didn't hear like the door, because when it opens it makes like a doo-doo-doo sound, and when it closes and locks you hear it, and she's surprised she slept through all of that. Yeah, it was about 8 a.m. and he was gone. So she's like, oh, did he ghost me? What's going on? Did he get what he wanted and now he's gone? So she reaches for her phone to see if he messaged her, and he did leave a message. The text said, I'm sorry, I have to go home to change my clothes. We can meet for lunch if you'd like. She was relieved that he wasn't just done like wham bam, thank you ma'am, toot and boot. He said, let's continue this, but I feel like a bum. I need to change my clothes. He says he knows a really nice place with a good view, and then that's where they should meet to have their food. Gives her the address. He'll meet her there. So she's like, wow, oh my god, you can see like a lot of the Seoul skyline from here. Like, it's great up here. And he reaches for her hand, like he puts his hands on the table and he reaches for her hand across the table, and they're holding hands like across the table. And he got all serious again. He said, I'm sorry if I was a little cold before, or if I gave mixed signals, but I needed some confirmation from my parents. Last night, that was his mom who texted him and said, your little brother likes her. It doesn't matter if she's a foreigner. If you like her, then go for it. That's what that text meant. She didn't know if it was one of his homies like, yo bruh, go for it, get that booty. Or if it was someone who actually had his best interest in heart, was like, oh come on, you know, if you like her, then go for it. You'll overcome the obstacles together. So yeah, because she left a good impression on the little brother, he's gushing to the parents, I suppose, like, oh yeah, she's so nice, she gave me cookies, she said I was cute, she said my English is good, she gave me pizza. So he said after receiving the blessing, he's sorry if, you know, it was so sudden the way he just changed. So he looks her dead in the eye and asks her if she wants to be his girlfriend.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Raya's stunned. She doesn't know what to say. She starts laughing. He said, is that a no? Like, I'm sorry, is this too much? She was just laughing to herself because she's like, oh my god, this morning I thought he was ghosting me after getting the cake. It's lunchtime and he's asked me to be his girlfriend. So yeah, Raya agreed to be his girlfriend, and it's been a year and they're still together. She said like she's met his family and everything, and if you guys want to know more about that, to let us know in the comments, and she'll get ready on the email and she'll send it over. The email, what am I, 90? I thought this was a really cute story. How little Netflix and chill turned into a whole ass relationship. So she rushed in the bathroom and turned off the shower water and like went to feel for a pulse, because the way he was just slumped over, she was concerned that he was like gone, not drunk gone, but gone, RIP gone. What's up idols, it's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's story, we got one from the military. It's so wild because she didn't even want to be in Korea. She had no interest in K-pop, Korean dramas, Korean food, Korean nothing. She said if anything, she was hoping she'd be based in Japan. So for this story time, we're gonna see what happens to a girl when she tried to make the best of a situation she didn't really want to be in, get to know the locals, have some fun, and how she fucked around and found out. In all seriousness, she said she wanted to share this story because I did a story on my channel about a hookup that had a good happy ending and it's still continuing to play out happily ever after. She wanted to show what happens on the other side of the coin when shit goes awry. She said the last hookup story time was so wholesome and it led to something so beautiful. After seeing that video, I wanted to let you guys know what could happen when it really goes wrong. Even after reading her message, it left me with just confusion and questions. Before we get into this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, drive up the engagement, watch the video for as long as you can tolerate my voice. We are getting so close to 100,000 subscribers. This is crazy. This submission came to my Instagram. You guys can follow me on Instagram there, Cece Lesson 3. She didn't email me. She said she doesn't email, so she sent me several DMs and got the story to me. So the star of today's story asked to be called Jessie from Toy Story. She says she's a bit of a cowgirl and she really likes to ride, if you catch my meaning. Jessie is only 21.
21?
At the time of this story, so this is probably the youngest submission we've had. Most people have been like 24, 25, 28, like mid to late 20s. She's a baby. She says she joined the military pretty much as soon as she graduated high school. She knew that she wanted to do something to serve her country, and she also wanted them to help her pay for school. She doesn't want to give away too much information about where she's based and all that good stuff, but in 2021, she was moved to Korea. So, a few months goes by, she's living in Korea, she's in a country she really had no interest or knowledge of wanting to ever visit. I don't know if you guys remember, but in 2021, Korea still had pretty strict COVID curfews and rules. When I got there in February, places were only allowed to be open until like 9 or 10 p.m. So she mostly had her military buddies, her friends on the base, and she wanted to find some other people. She was kind of sick of seeing the same faces. She only had her fellow soldiers, and this is, even though she is a soldier, she avoids them like the plague. She will never date another soldier. And this is coming from a soldier.
Listen to me. We traced the call. It's coming from inside the house. You hear me? It's coming from inside the house.
But Jessie says she was lonely, she needed some affection, she needed some lovin'.
McLovin? What kind of a stupid name is that, Fogel? What, are you trying to be an Irish R&B singer?
Now, oddly enough, she chose Meef.
What did he say?
Poor girl. She said don't ask her for an explanation because she ain't got one. She don't know why she chose Meef, but Meef was chosen. So, she would chat up a few guys here and there. Mostly, it kind of led to nothing, but there was one guy that she met, she liked him, she hooked up with him, and that was it. Then there was this other fellow, the subject of today's story. She said that he seemed very nice and was relatively normal, so they continued to chat. She said for her the biggest shock was that she found someone on Meef she was actually physically attracted to because she had never really been attracted to Asian guys. She said she always grew up preferring Latino men, spicy Latino men, with the caramel skin and whatnot. So yeah, when she found this man very attractive, it caught her off guard. She wanted to talk to him and get to know him more. After a few days of chatting, they agreed to meet up. So for this story, we're gonna call him Ju. Ju was 25. She said he was pretty tall, maybe 185 centimeters or about 6 feet. He had a buzz cut, which she said really worked for like his head shape and his style, and he wore these two tiny little hoops that she really liked. She loved his dimples. She said he had a really nice, sweet, shy smile. She said like she could tell he worked out. He was lean, but there was some muscle there, so she liked it. Visually pleasing. So when they first met, they decided to go to a park because it's 2021. Being outdoors where fresh air is circulating, you're not in a closed, compacted place. It was very COVID-friendly activity. One thing that caught me off guard and surprised me is she said that his English was really bad. She said he relied on like a translator app for a lot of the conversation. She had this theory that he understood English pretty well but couldn't really speak it very well because he would listen and it seemed like he understood, and when he said something he would speak Korean and then let it play for her. So after they spent the day in the park, they had some snacks, they had a little bit of soju, did a little bit of drinking. She wanted to kind of get right to business.
Hey man, where is the chase and how do I cut to it?
She felt bold, and let's be frank, she was horny. Being in the military, you do have a curfew, so she couldn't be out too late. So she asked him if they could go somewhere to... And bless him, he did not understand what she meant. So she had to type it out and let Google Translate show what she meant, what she intended. So she said he got real close to her phone and was like, oh, like she said his face lit up, he was flushed, he was blushing. He said, okay, you want with me? Really? Chinchoro? She said after that, he all but dragged her to his place, like,
let's get started.
So she does go into a bit of detail, but this is on YouTube. I gotta keep it YouTube friendly. I don't want to get demonetized. But she did say the first thing that he did, he went to the store and got some wine and some candles. He's like setting a romantic mood. Now keep this in mind for later in the story because it seems harmless and whatever right now, but puzzle pieces kind of fit a little bit later. He also got some protection. wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. What sounded nice in reading these DMs is first, she said that he offered to give her a back rub, so he gave her a back rub. I was like, damn, it's been a minute since I had a good back rub. That sounds nice. He sounds mad like husbandy right now. And she did say that like the transition from him giving her a back rub to initiating was seamless. Chef's kiss. She was like, wow, he put it on her. She said like out in the public, he had a really shy smile and he seemed a bit geeky, but in the privacy of his own place, he was a lot of freaky. She was into it, so they did what consenting adults do. And she also said he takes direction really well, which again, the whole language barrier thing where he seems to understand English pretty well, even though he doesn't really speak it that well. So now that the deed is done, she's like ready to leave. Again, she can't be out too late unless she wants to get in trouble. But Ju did not want her to go. She said she was a little weirded out by that because in her experience with like hooking up, usually, you know, she wants to avoid that whole awkwardness of, so like, am I gonna call you an Uber or about to call your ass an Uber, I got somewhere to be. So she thought he would kind of appreciate the girl just wanting to dip right after. And then she went on to explain how she's in the military, she has a curfew, she can't be out too late. He did not want her to go, bro. That's cute, but it's also a little too much too soon, you know?
And I want you to stay.
So after he finally agreed to let her go, he said to like message me when you get back and let me know when you want to see me again. Like, I hope we can see each other soon. She agreed and she went to leave, and she said before she even made it downstairs into her taxi, he texted her and asked if she was home. I'm like, did homie think she could just instant transmission back to base? He texted her the whole taxi ride, which she said was something like 45 minutes, just asking if she was okay, asking if she needed anything, asking how she felt, asking if she was home, asking when she was free again, just making a lot of persistent, steady conversation. She said over the next few days, Ju continued to constantly blow her up and would get angry and upset with her if she didn't respond as quickly as he had wanted. She was like, dude, like, I have a job, I can't always be on my phone, I don't even get to talk to my parents that much. Then Ju gets upset with her and says, hey, my friend said he saw you on Meep, he saw your account. She's like, okay, small world, like, yeah, I guess he saw me. He was upset with Jessie for not removing or deleting her Meep account. Like, after they met one time, hooked up one time, he didn't know why she still had a dating profile online, like active. He said, I think we are together now, so why not removing your profile? We're together, what do you do this for?
Halfway. Take a few steps back.
Together? So in her mind right now, because again, she's not very familiar with Korea at all, she's thinking, oh my god, is that why he was so shocked when I told him I wanted to hook up with him? Does he think this is like an official thing? Is that why he got the candles and the back rub and the wine? Like, does he think I'm his girl now? And you know, Korea does have this really good image out there of this innocence, naivete. So she's really thinking like, oh my god, like they don't do this here, do they?
That is not correct.
She's unfamiliar with how often Koreans engage in hoe behavior like the rest of us. So she had to explain to him very tediously, we're both single still, we're just having fun. I'm in the military, I'm not gonna be here forever, so why would I start a relationship? And she explained that to him. She said, we can continue to meet up and do this, but we're not a relationship. If that's okay, cool. If not, then it was nice meeting you. She said from that, he seemed to understand what she meant and he was okay with it. So y'all, Jessie's about to do something stupid. Don't be like Jessie. We don't judge, we live and we learn. Hindsight is 20/20. She said, don't be like me, but I gotta tell y'all the rest of the story. So, she let him hit again.
Bombastic side-eye.
For their second meeting, she assumed that they would go back to his apartment, but he actually wanted to get a hotel. Not a love motel, but like an actual hotel, like a proper nice hotel. She didn't think much of it, you know. They did it at his house, they could do it at a hotel. ¿Por qué no los dos? Now in this part of the story, it's about 2 weeks after their first hookup and she has like the night off. I'm not sure how this works. I didn't want to like delve too much into military jargon, but she doesn't have a curfew for this night. It's worth noting for this part of the story. So they met at the hotel and Ju had an overnight bag with him and Jessie did not. You know, she just came as she was. And he asked like, oh, what are you gonna wear tomorrow in the morning? She was like, in the morning? He's like, achim. She's like, achim? She said, I won't be here in the morning. Like, didn't we talk about this? So then he asked her to spend the night with him. He said, you told me that you had no curfew tonight, so I thought that meant you were gonna spend the night with me. I got a hotel for us so we could have a nice night together. So she's like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, I don't have any clothes. But he's like, oh, we can just go to a shop real quick and get you some pants and a top, something to sleep in, and some undies. So again, Cece agrees to this. She was definitely like a really good sport in her DMs. Like she was like, look girl, don't judge me through the screen. Like I was only 21.
You stupid.
21?
She said weirdly at this point she kind of was into how clingy he was. Like she kind of liked that he was obsessing over her a little bit. She didn't mind him being clingy as long as he knew that she wasn't his girl. One thing that's a little bit weird about meeting Ju this second time around, suddenly his English is so much better.
That's odd.
She said he wasn't really like speaking Korean into his phone and letting the app translate as much. He was speaking to her in English. So when she asked it, because it's only been 2 to 3 weeks since they first met, nobody becomes fluent in a language that quickly, you know? So she asked him, she's like, oh wow, like your English has improved a lot. And he just joked around and started to play dumb and relying on his app again. So like, was homie pretending to not speak English? I don't understand. That makes no sense to me, especially if he claims and acts like he likes her so much. Why would you pretend you can't speak her language? Again, she thought it was all very weird, but she came here for one thing, dick. So to get back to the hotel room, they ordered some takeaway to eat in the room together so they didn't have to really spend or waste time, as she said, out. She just wanted to get what she came for. And she said like while they were eating in the hotel room, he was very much the same way he was when they first met. He was really geeky and like had a cute shy smile and just hoo 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 hoo. So they eat their food, they chill, they're drinking some soju. Well, she's drinking some soju, he's drinking a lot of soju. So it gets to a point in the night where Cece initiates. She's ready to begin and she gets up and makes a move on him, and no one realizes how drunk he is until he tries to stand up, but then he falls back into his seat. So he apologized and said he needs some air and maybe a shower will help him sober up. So she's like, okay, yeah, try that. But this was his way of inviting her into the shower. There are definitely some themes in these stories, bro. She declined, however. She said as he was quite drunk, he should try and sober up and shower by himself. So she helps him into the bathroom and she sits on the bed, kills some time on her phone, and she's killing a lot of time on her phone. Like, she's a fan of a good long shower every now and then too, but she was like, he's been in there for a hot minute. So she knocks on the door, doesn't get a response. And then she calls to him, doesn't get a response. So then she opens the door and the shower is running. So like all this time she thought he was showering, homie is passed out just sitting in the tub with the shower water just running. So she rushed in the bathroom and turned off the shower water and like went to feel for a pulse, because the way he was just slumped over, she was concerned that he was like gone, not drunk gone, but gone, R.I.P. gone. And she was freaking out because the last thing she needs right now is to be caught in a hotel with a dead Korean. Yeah, it's not the best look for the military. Luckily he was fine, a few face slaps and he just came to a little bit. So she made him drink more water, she made him eat some more food to help sober him up some more. At this point she was like, why am I here? Like, I'd rather just be back on base. This is a waste of time. She had fun up until now, but now she's babysitting. She came here to fuck. She helped him get to the bed and she gave him the food and the water and stuff, and she said that she was gonna leave because what are we doing? But he begged her not to go. He said the reason he wanted to drink so much is because he was trying to detach, because he wanted to be okay with just sex relationship, but he couldn't be. So he thought, if I get drunk, then it'll be easier for me. I was just reading these DMs like, bruh, I've always had the opposite problem. Especially on dating apps in Korea. You always find the guys who only want sex minus a relationship. She finds this guy who prefers a relationship with sex. I was like, girl, give him my number, slide in my way. But no, but that was until I read how this story ends, and no, I don't want no part of that. So again, she said, I am in the military. I am not moving to Korea permanently. You live here, you don't live where I'm from. Why would I start a relationship that I know is going to end? He didn't answer her question. He just asked her to stay the night. And as he was sobering up, she thought, fuck it, fine, I'll stay, because one, it is pretty late. And to be like tiptoeing back in the base at such a late time, she didn't want to do that. So he went to the store to get some more snacks, to put some more food in him to help him absorb the soju. So another hour or two goes by and he's seeming to come back to himself, like very quickly, like weirdly, suspiciously quickly. Then he makes a move on her and bam, they're kissing. She said this time things were a lot more different. You know, he was a lot more passionate and intense. The first time he took direction well, this time he was the director. So then they finished doing the deed and they're laying there having a little bit of pillow talk. She asked him like why he wants to be with her, what does he like about her so much? You know, they've only known each other for 3 weeks to a month at this point. He said he doesn't know either, it's just how he feels. So she asked him, would you be okay being in a relationship with someone you know has an expiration date, like it's going to end? He said yeah. So Cece goes, let me weigh the pros and cons of this arrangement. Pros, good stable dick, affection, someone to spend my time with in Korea and show me around. Cons, a bit clingy, possessive, inconsistent, very confusing, red flags. Plus, she didn't want to get too deeply involved with someone knowing that it could hurt her heart eventually. And she's like, what if I fell for him and then I had to leave? Like, why would I set myself up for that? In the end, even though the cons outweighed the pros, she agreed. She said, you know what, fine, let's start this little short-term relationship and see where it goes. So as of that moment, they're in a little couple-ship entanglement. I don't know what you want to call it. The next morning, they wake up. It was nice waking up to see his face. He looked cute in the morning, cheeks all puffy. He got them like room service. They ate breakfast together. So then it was time to check out and she left. She went to get in their taxi to go back to base. They're texting and talking about when they're gonna see each other again. He's like, let me know when you're free. I can't wait to see you again. Smiley face. She's like, ditto, I can't wait to see you too. So she said communication was steady for the next 2 weeks, and then she finally got the word of when she'd be off again and when she had time to go and see him. She let him know, hey, this is when I'm free. Does this time work for you? She messaged him on Kakao, no response. Called him on Kakao, no response. She messaged him on Meef. Do I gotta tell you what happened here? Again, no response. Bruh, shit you not, that is the last time she ever heard from him. So like after spending all this time, a month or so, trying to convince her to go out with him, as soon as she agrees, he ghosts her.
I'm going ghost!
What more do you want from me?
So the story doesn't end here, however. This was in 2021. So she said around November, December 2022, she came across a Tinder profile with the same pictures, the same age, the same description, but a different name. She doesn't know what happened to him. She's sitting there wondering like,
did you die?
And that's the end of the story now. Yeah. I would love to know what you guys think about this story in the comments. I'm shook. It makes no sense. I have more questions than answers. What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. So today's story comes from Ariel, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a little dark. Parts of it is cute, parts of it is really disturbing. And given the nature of some elements to this video, some parts I can't put on YouTube and that will be on Patreon. Don't worry, I'm not gonna like completely omit it or anything like that, but I also don't want to omit the info that she included in the email. So that's gonna be, you know, ad-friendly version here. And if you're a patron, you can go on my Patreon right now and see this whole video ad-free and uncensored, so you get all the bits that she discussed with me in the email. And she hopes that this will serve as a bit of a warning for you guys, because she admits to being down the Delulu K-pop idol bubble, and she hopes you guys don't also fall for what she fell for. She said that is another reason she wants to be anonymous, because she knows, you know, victim blaming is kind of second nature these days, unfortunately. And people, it's easy to be like, girl, that's a red flag. Girl, why did you put up with that? Girl, why'd you accept that? So she's like, look, I don't want people to know who I am as they learn what happened to me. So Ariel is a student in Korea, and she met many guys via Tinder.
디스커스팅한 냄새가 나요. Disgusting shit.
I know, Tinder is sus, but it does work for some people sometimes. She was a big fan of the philosophy, you know, cast a wide net and see what sticks. Don't talk to just a few, talk to many. You increase your odds of meeting someone decent, wholesome, and normal. And she fully admits that most of the connections went nowhere, ended in a ghosting. They'd asked to come over to her house for fun, or they just wanted to practice English and do language exchange. But there was one who stood out from the rest. At first, it was for good reasons. At the end, it was for all the worst reasons. She straight up said his name was Seungmin. That's a common enough name that I don't think it'll get anybody in trouble. Seungmin. I had a few students named Seungmin. Seungmin's a pretty common name in Korea. And he was also a grad student, which made it one more thing that they had in common. And she is looking to move to Korea permanently one day. She's trying to settle down. She's trying to find love. You know what I'm saying? It's hard out here. After she finished her studies, she plans to move to Korea, settle there forever. And he was actually really happy to hear that, because he's like, oh, I'm so glad you're not here, you know, for 6 months and then you go back to your country. I'm glad you're not teaching for a year and then you leave. You plan to move here. Like, that's great. This sounds like it's promising. And one thing she really liked about him is they didn't rush the topic or the idea of meeting, because they both were just so busy. So it was a few weeks of just talking, just getting to know each other. No, hey, let me come over tonight. Hey, what you doing tomorrow? Hey, I'm trying to get in them guts. It was just a very calm, nice, trying to get to know you at a slow and steady pace. So 6 weeks had gone by, and they finally decided it was time to meet up in person. Now, unfortunately, after 6 weeks of talking, Ariel felt really comfortable with Seungmin, so she gave him her address.
Oh no, 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 oh no, 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 no.
So he knew exactly where to meet her. And you'll find out why later in the story this was a bad idea. So for the first meetup, they said, let's do karaoke, let's get dinner, nothing too crazy, let's keep it PG, let's just have some fun because school is very stressful. And it was cute because while they did karaoke, she impressed him with her Korean singing skills and he impressed her with his English singing skills. And you know, once you do karaoke, you also do a bit of soju. I get some soju with the noraebang, you know? So once the drinks were flowing, sparks were also flying. She said, looking back now, she's pretty sure it was heavily soju induced. So they started to feel really comfortable with each other in this noraebang after dinner. And suddenly Seungmin said, oh my God, like, you're so good at dancing. We should go dance. Let's go dance. We should go to club. And at first she didn't want to because she's like, dude, I am not dressed for any sort of club. Like, I just dressed for dinner and karaoke. They're not gonna let me in. He's like, oh, relax, we'll go somewhere casual. We'll do Hongdae. Now we all know why Hongdae is scary. It's a bad idea for a date. So as soon as they got in the club in Hongdae, he started to smoke all night at dinner, walk into karaoke. He did not smoke. She had no idea he smoked, no indication that he smoked. And as soon as they got inside the club in Hongdae, he started smoking. And she said, ew. Anyway, you know, alcohol tends to make people a little horny, right? They were drinking during karaoke. They're drinking in the club. They're getting really touchy-feely. They're getting close to each other. And when Ariel saw Seungmin dance, she started to think of Jungkook. And you know, all throughout this email, she reiterates like, I just kept envisioning Jungkook and I had this Jungkook fantasy, and some parts of him, like his funny smile, he reminded me of Jungkook. Like, she brings up Jungkook a lot. So there's like like alcohol goggles, and there's also like a K-pop lens and a Jungkook haze that is also influencing her decisions poorly. So she decided to outright tell him, oh my God, you remind me of Jungkook from BTS. And he started singing 7 to her. You know the part, night after night, I'll be frogging you right. And he didn't say lovin', let's put it like that. So eventually they got to the point where they were making out in this club in Hongdae. And she asked him if he was familiar with love motels. Y'all know where this is going, right? So of course he's like, yeah, I've been before. Why? Ariel doesn't sugarcoat it. She said, I want to go with you now. Like now. So of course he didn't hesitate. They're on their way to a love motel right now. So they make their way to the nearest one and they're going kind of fast, and then she's like, wait, don't we need to like get provisions and protection and things? He's like, oh, don't worry, they have. Like, it's all there already. They have everything you need for loving in a love motel. This is what the streets is telling me. So they get to the motel and they find out it's gonna be 75,000 won a night, which I would guess is about 60 bucks, maybe 55 bucks, something like that. When the worker tells them the price, he just looks at her. And she looked back at him. And he's like, well, you wanted to come here, right? Like, you pay.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well.
Breathe in. Boy.
So she paid the 75,000 won for one night at the love motel. Now, I don't know if that's like high or low. I don't know if they stayed in Hongdae when they went there. Y'all can let me know if you have experience. I don't know if that's like a good price or a low price. She seems to be unhappy with the price for what the room was. We're getting to that. Again, she says there were many red flags ignored, many mistakes were made, but we move further into the story because unfortunately it gets so much worse. So basically the YouTube version of the story is they end up having relations, but it was so bad, like painfully bad, incredibly awkwardly bad. And she says she didn't really know if it was because he drank too much or just because he was severely inexperienced or a horrible combination of the two. And she's like, if I knew I was gonna pay, then I would have picked a nicer place and even paid a little more if it meant nicer quality. So she takes inventory of everything in the room. She even decides to like check for some spy cams and stuff. I mean, it's Korea, you gotta be careful. She did her best to stay in the moment. She says she kept like imagining Jungkook, that was just, she was trying to get through this by imagining Jungkook. Jungkook is like her ultimate, and she knows it's like a fetish. Like, she fully acknowledges and admits like it's like a K-pop or Jungkook Asian man fetish, but it was not working. She tried envisioning him, it was not working. And she was like, how did I not realize he was this drunk? I don't know if it was hitting them when they got in the room and they're in a stationary spot, but she did not realize he was this drunk until they were in the room. He started making stupid demands like, say my name, asking her offensive questions, like why was she so dry?
Hey, yo! Hey, yo!
Bro, what are we talking about here? It's giving sex harassment?
He even took his phone and like sloppily tried to record them having relations. But yeah, he said he wanted a memento and he wanted to save the moment, so they should record it. And you know, when people are drunk, It's kind of easy to distract them from something because they can't focus on any one particular thing. So luckily he didn't bring it up again. He would go soft in the middle. You get the gist, okay? I don't want to get demonetized, but that's basically what happened. And once it was over, she could not wait to get out of that room. Like, she, with post haste, made her way for the exit. And even all throughout, she thought about leaving so many times, but she's like, this is so awkward. Would leaving make it worse? I need an excuse to leave. Like, what do I do? So she just laid there and endured, unfortunately. So yeah, she was very uncomfortable, and unfortunately, she didn't know what to do, like how to get out of this situation. She said she felt obligated to stay because she didn't want to make it more awkward. Anyway, it's no sense in beating a dead horse. He realized it was done. Round one was done, if anything. He thought there was gonna be more. So after he got off of her, Ariel started to go put her clothes back on. She was absolutely ready to leave the motel. But again, he told her that you paid for the night. We should stay and enjoy it. She said, you can enjoy this hotel. I want to go home.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
So she made it clear she was going to leave, and that's when he started to get aggressive. He wanted more rounds later. Like they even finished this round, if you can even call what they just did a round. And she started to get scared because he was slurring his words and yelling at her. She was getting dressed and trying to put her clothes on. He was physically trying to stop her. Like, she's putting her shirt on and he's like trying to block her arms so she can't get her shirt back on. He was physically trying to block her from the door. And because he was drunk, sometimes he's like soft or like pulling her, and then sometimes he yanked her and he was trying to get her to like sit back on the bed, get her back towards the bed and away from the exit door. So she said she didn't know what was gonna happen or what to expect, but she said as dark as it is, at least she knew she wasn't gonna get like violated because he kept going soft. Like, he couldn't even if he wanted to. And he started to doze off like mid-sentence. Like, he's like, you should stay. Where are you going? Can you imagine trying to like rationalize with a drunk, aggressive person? So eventually she goes to sit on the bed. And remember, he is dozing in and out. Like, he's here, he's not, he's slurring his words. And she saw her moment to go for the door and she finally left. And luckily he was not following her. And that seemed to be it. She finally felt free and relieved of this horrible nightmare, this horrible one night. And you would think the story ends there, but unfortunately it does not.
Oh my God. What more do you want from me?
She didn't hear from Seungmin for a full day, so she really thought she was in the clear. Like, he didn't say, hey, how was last night? Nothing. She didn't hear from him. She thought that was it. She figured he got his one night, he got what he wanted, and she wouldn't need to hear from him again. But he texted her a full day later and says, hey, have you been well? With a smiley face.
Ew, get off of me. Ugh, as if.
And she blocked him without a second thought. But remember when earlier in the story, I told you guys that she unfortunately gave him her address, so he knows exactly where she lives. So the next day, he shows up to her apartment complex. Luckily, you need a fob to get in the building, but you can also be buzzed in. So he's trying to buzz in, he's trying to get in. He rang the doorbell to try and get in. And she turns on the camera to like see who's trying to buzz, and she sees Seungmin and she's like, wait, what? Why are you here? Like, what? So of course she doesn't buzz him in. She ignored him, but then a few hours later, he buzzed to try and get in again. Now she doesn't know if he stayed there for those few hours or if he like left and came back again to try to be buzzed in again. But she knew she had to leave her apartment and go to class eventually, so she started to freak out, as one would. But she also knew that he could kind of get in the building with any other resident. You know, he could maybe forget, oh, where's my fob? And as soon as they open the door, he goes in too. So she unblocked him long enough to tell him, leave me alone. Why are you being like this? And he replied instantly saying, what did I do wrong? So at this point, she doesn't know if he's pretending he doesn't know what he did that night or if he actually doesn't know what he did that night. Either way, she wants no parts with him after that night. Like, that was red flags, nothing attractive about that situation whatsoever. So she says she doesn't like him, it's not gonna work, go meet another girl. And as soon as she saw that he read that message, she blocked him again. The next day, he tried buzzing in her apartment again, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
She decided she's not gonna leave her apartment and go to class that day because she was worried that he would be waiting for her when she got back home at the end of class. So she decided the next day when she goes to class, she's gonna come back with a friend. That way she won't be alone. And also a friend who's Korean, because if it gets to that point, she can help explain the situation fully to police or neighbors or anyone else who could help her. So when she did leave for class the next day, she saw a note with her name on it, and she fought every urge to burn it, to rip it to shreds, but she did decide to read the note. She reluctantly opened the note and it said, "I'm sorry I drank too much and lost control, but you're being too much. Talk to me." So she knew he'd be back to her apartment, especially if she didn't respond, so she decided to unblock him and respond again. But not only did she come back with a friend this time, just in case, she also had her friend help draft her up a response in Korean to him, just to make sure he fully understood the gravity of the situation. So she said, "Yes, you drank too much. You asked to film me and you tried to film me. You tried to keep me from putting my clothes back on, and you tried to keep me in the bed against my will. You yelled at me and you pushed me. Do not contact me again or I'm calling the police. Don't tell me I'm being too much when you claim you don't remember what happened. Don't tell me I'm being too much when you scared me and pushed me and yelled at me." And once she sent that, she finally never seen or heard from him again. So over the next week, she decided to either go to a friend's place or have a friend escort her home to her apartment door. And one cute thing that ended up happening, one of her friends has a brother who's like a gym bro into CrossFit and stuff. And she said he speaks English really well. And if you need him to like walk with us just to give that impression that you might be dating someone else or intimidate him away, my brother's totally cool with that. Like, he's a really protective older brother. But yeah, luckily none of that was necessary. And yes, she admits that she let the whole Jungkook K-pop fantasy thing blind her, and she just wanted to project this idea of her idol onto any Korean man who was like interested in her. These are her words, not mine. So I do like the reflection that usually comes with these stories. She said what happened with Seungmin in that love motel was a much needed reality check. After like 6 weeks of communicating so steadily, she didn't expect him to suddenly get all drunk and be creepy and forceful like that. So you gotta vet people properly. She fully reflects on her actions, and I'm so grateful to you, Ariel, for sending in this story. If you guys have a story about dating in Korea that you want to share with me, email me at ccelesson3@yahoo.com. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on this story, because you know, it starts off cute, wholesome enough, and it does take a turn, but it also does end on like a pretty good note, I guess. Like, lesson learned, no further harm was done. We live and we learn. We move, guys. This is life. If you want to see more story times like this, binge the playlist is about to pop up on the end screen. We have so many of these stories, some of my own, some that you guys have emailed and sent me in. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong!